known as that midday show. Yes, that is your girl Adara. Believe it or not, I'm Sharif, and Scott H says he is back in the house. Welcome back, Big Scott. Lots of pseudo small cap gappers to talk about. We'll get to them in a hot second. Mr. Jonathan, welcome to you too, my friend. Let's wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. We already have the world's greatest mod in chat. He's already in there. Bears versus Bulls. What's up to him as well? Anurag and Pillsbury Bot Rakes joining us as well. Cesar Sandoval and 605 Trader Forever and Black Sheep Trades Benson joining us as well. My main man Adam Deluce, Big Bob Dub, Random Oddities, and Josh. What's up, Josh? Been missing this Josh over here. I don't know where he's been out of there. Aaron and Joanna Brewster. We got Peter. We got 9 to 5 Grind, as well as Tony and Lionel Martinez. Britt Brendan as well. Naz B. And Apco G King Capital. Sorry, I butchered the name. Fiddlebeck, Melissa Murphy. Let's flipping go. 98 in the Piper. Ronaldo joining us as well. Good morning to you. And 2 New York Sens. Let's go. Putz, he says. Hashtag says hello as well. Good morning, Adair.
Good morning, Sharif. How are you doing today? How was your weekend?
It was fab. It was really good. Nice. Played tennis on the clay courts. Completely different game. Ate a lot, Adara, too. There was a lot of eating this weekend.
You played tennis on clay courts. You got to fuel yourself, right? So,
right? Good. I like that. I like that justification. What are you looking at today? How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm good, thank you. I went to my first TIFF movie of the season. It was pretty good. It was a premiere, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, lots of thoughts on that, but also lots of thoughts on Tesla. Tried to short on this, did not work out. Took a very, very reasonable hit here. Exactly what I wanted to risk. Basically, like I said, I've been trying to pivot my strategy from kind of random risk levels into specifically like risk units. So how much of my total buying power do I want to risk on this trade? With that in mind, that's how I took this Tesla trade. Got involved here at 215, risked it into 215.25. Took a hit there, it broke above, I got out. The plan was to add at 214.70s and then start taking profit at 214.40s. That did not work out, as you can see here. We're gonna wait and see. Tesla still holding too much support around 215 for me to feel comfortable getting back into the short because I took it on the initial breakdown below that 215 level. We'll see what happens. Some other stocks I haven't watched here. I mean, on my side charts, other than the Meg 7, just so you guys know what I'm generally going to be looking at. IWM, AMD, Dell, SPY, ARM, Broadcom, Boeing, and Palantir. Those are going to be the looks. Palantir, peeking its little head back into VWAP actually is a pretty interesting look. I had 2 levels on Palantir that I liked, 33.80 and 32.65. We're not really near either of them as of right now, but if I see anything else set up on the chart, I'll have to be pretty interested. This is a little bit cheaper than some of the stocks I trade, but I have traded Palantir before recently. I do like trading it when it pops up, but yeah, some of these Dell's, ARMs, and Boeing's, the spreadier individuals are probably going to be more in watch for me today. We'll also be providing you with all the updates on that Apple event as Apple comes into a bit of a previous interesting area, that 218. What about you, Sharif?
I'm looking at a lot of small cap gappers today. Well, they don't have to be market cap, exactly small cap gappers, because Summit doesn't really fit that narrative there. But this is the 8 that I'm looking at. You'll notice the 2 on the side, Palantir and Dell, are obviously not small cap gappers. The reason I have these bad boys on there is obviously they've been added to the S&P 500 and we're looking for possible volatility. We're getting good moves on them already. No disrespect there. But yeah, Summit, keeping an eye on this one. Really interested with that 19 area. Bit of a bamboozler. It's like widening. It's almost like a megaphone pattern where the expansion of the highs and lows keeps getting wider and wider and wider. Not a pattern you often see, too often at all. Be honest with you, I see them in the textbooks, but not a lot in real life. So we'll keep a look here at SMMT. Umpteen amounts of bounces, off that 19 area. 19 did feature in the pre-market, so that 6 o'clock top in and around that 19 area with the wicks going into 20, obviously, but the closing prints a lot closer to that 19, the third 19 than it is to 20. So keeping my eye on SMMT, and it behooves me to tell you a little bit about it. So it's up a very respectable 58.25%. The market cap's larger, 13 2/3 million with 26 million shares traded today, and the float, it's not too big for a multi-billion-dollar company. It's an 83.25 million share float, and let's find out what the short float, if any, is on it here. Shouting out the NOS boss today, and his analysis there with Brenda was quite good. 20% short float on SMMT. Likely why we're getting a bit of a squeeze here, but we'll have to keep an eye on it to see if the squeeze can continue. It hasn't featured with VWAP at all. I mean, ever since breaking it in the opening range there, that 18.5 area has gone untouched on SMMT. So we'll keep eyes on this one. It's not the only one I'm obviously watching. APLD, a holdover from last week. We talked about this one multiple times, keeping an eye on it today as it gets back into that Friday high. Keep an eye out at 550, high 550s, 555. That is the top range of the wick there before we basically tanked and basically did nothing all day except range at the lows. Now we're kind of getting right back into those Friday highs on APLD. So it's in play, up about 20%. RLAY also in focus. Very respectful of the 10 exponential on the 5 here. Give you details on this one if I can find it. Here it is. 50% in the clear. Put some respect on that one's name. $1.25 billion market cap with about 6 million shares traded today, and the market cap about 130 million shares. Let's find out what the trade or the short float is. Another one with a decent short float, about 10% here for RLAY. Okay, good. Now we're working with some stuff here. So we got three that are good. Lace is light on volume. I'm unlikely to touch that unless the volume really picks up. And SINT, sorry, shout out to D. Westermeyer, confused that one that you were looking for. WINT, I was looking at SINT because of its pre-market moves there. 8 a.m. it really got going. And the IB high takes us to that 950 high, right around $7, 698. But we've been making lows since that time, and we've broken below the volume-weighted average price. And to be quite honest with you, SINT, not really respecting a whole lot of levels here on my chart. So unless it really gets its act together, I'm unlikely to want to trade this one because I can't gauge how to trade it. So that's my look there. Anything you want to mention quickly, Adair, before we set up for the lesson du jour?
Yeah, I dipped into an NVIDIA long here. This is a level I was looking at earlier, 104. Just above 104, realized I could work it risk management wise. If we stay above that 104.30 area nicely, I'm going to be adding here. Happy with this, and we're going to be risking into break even at that point. So let's see what occurs here on NVIDIA as it tries to hold on to 104.30s with its by the skin of its teeth. Currently up about 25 cents of this name, but we're not trading P&L, we're trading learning. But we're also going to be learning about channel lines over here. So shout out to this channel. If you guys want to vote for tickers, let us know in the chat. !join space $ that ticker. Let's talk about some channel lines.
Yeah, great segue there, Dara. All right, let's get right to it, baby. These channel lines, what are they? So we're going to be talking about one of the fundamental concepts in technical analysis. You guessed it, it's channel lines, baby. These lines don't only help us identify trends, but also provide us insights into the potential market reversals as well as continuation. So we'll break down the concept in 3 key areas. Those 3 key areas are as follows. First and foremost, understanding channel lines and their application in both uptrends and downtrends, and the importance of channel breaks. Once one of those boundaries gets breached, what's the move? And third and finally, early warning of weakening trends and adjustments to your trend lines. We'll talk about those 3 concepts within or under the umbrella of channel lines. So let's get right to it. As we always do, define these concepts in case you haven't encountered them before. Here is what they are. Channel lines, which are also called, so it's a bit of a synonym here, also called return lines, right? They're basically parallel lines drawn along the primary trend. And I'm going to give you umpteen amount of visuals here, so just bear with me for a moment. They contain price movement within a clear boundary during a trend, offering additional level of insight into market behavior. There's 2 components to the channel line. The first one is the basic trend line. The basic trend line here connects the lows in an uptrend or the highs in a downtrend. That's what you would consider your regular trend line. We talked about that last week. We talked about the basics and the fundamentals of drawing these trend lines. So that's what the first line here is, the trend line. You're connecting the lows in an uptrend and the highs in a downtrend. But there comes the channel line. This is drawn parallel to the trend line from a prominent peak in an uptrend or a significant low in a downtrend. So it's basically on the opposite side of the channel of your actual trend line. This is kind of what I'll show you in a second here, what it looks like. I don't know what's taking so long. So in an uptrend, this is how you draw it. So in an uptrend, you draw the trend line through the lows and then draw a parallel line through the first significant peak. In a downtrend, it's kind of the opposite. So the trend line connects the highs. The parallel line in this case will run through the most significant lows. So the prices often fluctuate between these boundaries as seen in the next example right here. So there was our trend line because these are higher lows. So the trend line here is the solid line, and then the channel line is the parallel line moving and touching the highs. Basically, very simple there. Your key takeaway is identifying channels helps traders essentially predict where the price might reverse or consolidate within these ranges. And it basically works the exact same way for a downtrend. In the downtrend, you're connecting the highs as your trend line, and then your channel line is going to be the dotted line over here where you're going to be connecting the lows. Basically, that's all it really comes down to. Obviously, it gets more nuanced, but a very rudimentary explanation. That's all we really need to do. So what are the importance of the channel breaks? We're drawing these lines for a reason. We're obviously demarcating a boundary. What happens when those boundaries get breached, though? That's what we're going to talk about here. So the breaking of a channel line has significant implications. The first of which is breaking the basic trend line. That's the lows in an uptrend or the highs in a downtrend. This essentially what it'll signal to you is a potential reversal. There's really no two ways about it. So if you have a long, well-established trend line that connects the lows and you have a decided breach, you should be on the lookout for reversal. Same thing goes for the break of the channel line, typically meaning basically here it's extending or accelerating the trend. So if you're connecting the highs in an uptrend, your channel line gets breached. That means the trend is going to accelerate to the high side as opposed to stay within the same kind of range that it had been putting in before. So for instance, in an uptrend, when the price clears the upper boundary, which we know is called the channel line, it's often a signal of strength. Traders might use this as an opportunity to either add to their position or basically you're looking to add to your position there. Conversely, a break below the trend line, which is the lower line in an uptrend, this signals a possible reversal, and you may want to lessen your position or basically liquidate it altogether. And here's an example. So this is a long-term channel, right? In this long-term channel for the Dow utilities, which I'll show you in a second, prices repeatedly found resistance near the upper boundary in years 1987, 89, 93, which I'll show you in a second, and it found support near the lower boundary, which happened in 94. The traders could have used this boundary, this channel line, for both long-term entries and exits. And this is kind of what I'm talking about here. Here's a look at the Dow utilities as it's traded from 1971 to 1994. Talk about a long-term trend over here. And you got a couple of touches initially there in mid-74, again in mid-82, and then you got a couple of touches to the high side in 87 and again in 94. So this is kind of what we're talking about here. This is the trend line as we speak. Or this is the trend line because it's an uptrend, and this is the channel line which connects the highs. So how can you use channel lines to spot weakness? So we've talked about the breaches of the boundaries of the channel line, but using channel lines not for breaches, but for spotting weakness. Let's talk about that. So channel lines also help traders identify when a trend is weakening. One of the early signs of a possible reversal when the prices fail to reach the upper end of the channel or the lower end, depending if you're going long or short here. So what I mean by that is if you have an upward channel that's been established for a period of time, but all of a sudden, as of late, you're not able to get up to the upper channel, but you seem to be having a whole bunch of touches on the trend line, the lower channel line, well then the trend may be weakening and you could get a breach of that lower trend line in short order. And this is kind of what I'm talking about here. The failure to reach the upper band is a signal that the trend is weakening. We get one touch, two touch, one touch, two. This time, can't do it. So we get a lower high or a double top. Look how points 5 and points 3 are basically equidistant. And then you get the break through point 4. That's the confirmation. We know that from looking at chart patterns and analyzing double tops. We know that the double top completes the pattern once it breaks through the middle part of the M. So that's what I'm talking about there. So spotting weakness in the trend when you can't reach the upper or lower bands, whether it's an uptrend or a downtrend. Kind of want to make that point there. An example, the failure to reach the upper trend line. So in this example that I just showed you, 0.5 shows that the price failed to touch the upper boundary. This failure is an early warning sign that the trend is losing momentum. And following this, the price actually breaks the uptrend at 0.6, where it makes a lower low then 0.4, confirming that the trend reversed. And we saw that on the double top. So when prices repeatedly fail to reach the channel boundary in an uptrend or a downtrend, works both ways, the odds of breaking the trend line are heavily increased. So keep that in mind. And last but not least, we're going to talk about adjusting the trend line here. So when price exceeds the channel line in an uptrend, for example, traders might adjust their trend lines to reflect the steeper trend. Where did we do that? Oh, that's right, speed lines from last week. That's how you redraw the lines. Once the trend picks up, accelerates or decelerates, you need to redraw those trend lines, and that's what we're talking about here. So what we learned last week, absolutely included in this week's lesson too. So if the price significantly moves beyond the rising channel in an uptrend, it typically signals a strengthening trend, requiring adjustment of the basic trend line. And that's what we're talking about here. So we're moving along, we're moseying along here, touch 1, touch 2, touch 3, but then we really blow through that channel line, which was supposed to be 0.5. So now we need to redraw the trend line to take account of the accelerated trend. We need to redraw both the channel and the trend line. So that last week lesson on fan lines really is going to help in our analysis of how to redraw these trends. So just keep that in mind. Just because it's a channel doesn't mean it can't be redrawn. Same thing when we talked about with trend lines last week. And here's an example of when it breaks down. So we saw the bull case over here. This is the exact same thing, but it's the bear case. So figure 418 and figure 419, essentially the opposite of one another. So just to conclude, guys, channel lines are essential tools for trend identification and analysis. They help traders visualize when price movements might reverse or continue, and you can use them to identify the basic trend line and draw a parallel channel line, as well as watch for potential breaks of these trend lines or for trend reversals or continuations for that matter, and spot failures to reach the channel line as an early warning of the weakening trend. I hope everybody prints up a storm today.
Yeah, shout out to Sharif. They're brightening up this channel with a channel line message or a lesson there. Thank you very much for delivering that and putting that one together. I have some trades to talk about. So I had the NVIDIA long. I added, didn't work out. I was trying to get out flat. I ended up getting out, I think about 10 cents a share, I think, on this after the ad, and that's just because I wasn't able to get filled where I wanted to. It's all good. Where's the next trade? I have a Tesla trade, which I will talk about in a second, but I want to talk about NVIDIA first because I actually still see this as bullish, and I understand that could be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I'll tell you what I saw. I saw a big floosh down in the market, big old to the downside. So Tesla got hit, Meta got hit, Google got hit, Amazon got hit, Microsoft got hit, Apple and NVIDIA held on relatively well. So that told me, you know what? Maybe NVIDIA is not going to be reacting the same way as the market. If I still see setups I like, those are the ones I have to take. So I took NVIDIA long once again, same exact level, almost the same plan for this trade. I'm going to add a little bit earlier here. If we get to 104.25, that was a bit of an interesting level of interaction over here. Then I will be starting to piece out as we get into 104.40s, bit of a resistance area. TSLA, though, I had that short as well, and this actually worked out pretty well. I initially wanted to get short 215. I ended up getting short 214.75. Because that was a level I liked as well. So I used what was going to be my ad, bless you, for the initial short as an area to enter my second short. Got out about 60% of this at that 214.40, which is a huge area. Then we bounced, got out the rest exactly flat. So interesting look there. And I just typed in NBFS, which is not a ticker. But if you guys, there's any tickers you're looking for, get into that chat and let us know. Exclamation point, join, space, $, the ticker of your choice, because we want to know what makes you guys tick today. Ooh. Maybe it's Apple with that event. Maybe it's ARM with the event. Maybe you're like, Sean, you're looking at some PLTR. You got that hat to match there. Shout out to Biggie. Maybe you've got some Biggie trades on Dell, which also got added to the S&P 500. Don't forget about Dell. So lots of interesting stuff here. Trying to get added here at 26 on NVIDIA's. I still like that 30s area, so I'm all good. I don't want to chase this too much. Going to wait and see what happens here at N to the V, to the D, to the A, bit of a floosh down there. So I'm going to be watching the NVIDIA one. But let's see what happens here on Dell as well. Dell here. Oh, wow. Dell at a bit of an interesting area here. 106 is actually a level I wrote down earlier. I like this downward trend. Then we formed some nice support. Bottoming tail candle at 105.50. Trying to curl back up. Let's see what we do with the 90 MA. I'm also using NVIDIA same as my last Aries. Should I be able to get out okay because I wasn't with that first trade? I will be risking into break even now that I've added. So it'll be 104.13. Let's see what happens. I could totally be wrong here. As Neil says, it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. And you can't be afraid of being wrong either as a trader, which is why I like that level. You got to have some confidence, some confidera, whatever you want to call it. You have to believe in yourself because no one is going to believe in you or you. And if you don't believe in yourself, who will? So little rant over there. NVDA, let's see if we can be on our NVD way to the upside as we push lower. JKL 146 with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, NVIDIA. To the tune of the Canadian National Anthem. Oh, I agree. If we keep holding the support, JKL, I'll be singing that song right with you. Right now, I want to know what tickers are singing to Sharif. I see you have SMT.
Yeah, I fat-fingered here at Adara. I took 20 pennies on this one, but I didn't actually mean to take out the other amount. I was trying to put in my stop, and then we took it out over here, but did well on this one. This one's doing a rounded bottom, so I'm not gonna let this one off the hook. We're gonna continue to trade this one. Let's see what it does at 20. Did find great amount of support at 19. Held really well there, and this is where I started watching it. I was on the lookout for a head and shoulders, essentially. So I was looking to see, there's a left shoulder, there's the bulbous head, and then there's the right shoulder over here, but it didn't break, and you could gauge its intentions by the double bottom that put it at 19. So I was able to weasel my way in right after the lesson. Again, made a bit of a mistake here, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the trade. Still definitely going to keep my eye on this one. Trading really well is SMMT, excuse me. But keep in mind, this one's around for a good time, not a long time. So the bottom could drop off anytime. And that happened to me twice last week. Thankfully, I was in smaller positions on some of these small cap gappers, but the point is, having stops and giving your stops room to breathe. You got to give them room to breathe. Otherwise, your stop is going to be meaningless, right? Because it's going to blow through there and not trigger. So we'll keep tabs on that. We have the read?
Yes.
Okay, I can do it. All right, guys, here we go. All right, we all know who Benzinga is, baby. And are you tired of being late to the trade? Are you always playing catch up in the market? Are you missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news? Well, Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get your breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everybody else and pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving. And yes, join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Are you ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? If you are, visit benzinga.com/pro and get yourself that free 14-day trial. Shout out to Benzinga. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on this one. Here we go. Now it's knocking on the door. 20, incrementally putting in higher highs and higher lows. SMMT is a looker today, no question about it. And in case you're wondering what's going on over here, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's analyst commentary on this one. Let me just see what the actual move is. Oh, there it is, lung cancer. You love to see stuff like this. At least I do personally. Summit stock soars as lung cancer drug beats Merck's Keytruda in latest trial, says this headline over here. Not vouching, obviously, for the validity or invalidity of the headline, but it's making markets move. And, well, then you got more analyst commentary on this bad boy today. So in case you don't feel like you're qualified enough to be able to make a call either way on the stock, Summit Therapeutics maintained as a buy stifle. And I believe they have a $25 price target, up from $14. So a nice, $11 move there, Darren. No disrespect to that. Good luck.
No disrespect at all. We are 2/3 out of NVIDIA here. Very pleased as punch with this trade because this is the thing. Like trades, what I realized is trades don't have to make sense to anyone else but you. If you can trade them, if you're comfortable with your reasoning to buy, reasoning to sell, all that jazz, then who else do the trades really need to make sense to? Do you know what I mean? That's the one thing I'm really realizing. I'm aware this NVIDIA long might have looked a little bit funky because we were basically here at low of day, slightly lower highs. I have the 1-minute chart up just because I'm using prior bar lows as my stop for this. We're going to let this one ride till the wheels fall off. Basically, my two levels I really like were 104.33. So this was a huge level of resistance. I initially liked 104.39 to take out half the position, but we kept whiffling and waffling there. I said, Dara, You trust to
bless
read
you.
on the book. You don't like this. It's a bit uggo. So get out there at that 104.33s. Took out half there, then took the next half out at 104.50 gates. Look at all that interaction. That's why I chose that level. It's really interesting, too. All these levels that NVIDIA is running into, they are going to be some previous support resistance levels here on the 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute chart. And they're going to give you a fight. That 104.58 was like, no, I don't want it. Do I have to? And then it finally gave you that move. So I think it's really worth noting here, some of these levels really coming in. You're not always going to have the right read on stocks. That's what I'm realizing. You have to be wrong a lot of time, but you have to be a good, not a sore loser, right? Make sure that you're losing appropriately. You're recognizing, you know when to hold them, you know when to fold them, you know when to walk away, and you know when to run for the hills. So not running from the hills right now in NVIDIA, though I will if we break below that 104.50 level. So got our finger on the trigger. And see if these trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. Shout out to Drake, because I might be tweeting about this trade at Adara, Trader TV Adara. You can hit me up there, my social media. But yeah, good times here. Interesting little doji for NVIDIA here, which makes our prior bar low thing a little tricky. Let's see what we do here. I'll still take this into 104.50s, and I'm cool with that. That to me is a level that makes some sense. What else do we have going on here? NVIDIA, we have Jay Lee saying NVIDIA to 106 before it drops again. At least I hope, LOL. I like that you admitted the hopium there. I think that's a really fair point because we all, as much as we don't want to say hope, if you have a plan for a trade, ultimately, to some degree, you do hope or want it to get there, right? Or why are you getting involved? So I really respect that. I respect this whole chat and this whole community. If you guys have any tickers you would like us to look at, please get in that chat and let us know. Exclamation point, join, space, $sign. That ticker, so we can help you all there. That is going to be the voting symbol there. So just get into the chat, exclamation point, join, space, $sign, whatever ticker you like, because we want to be able to look at all the tickers you want to look at. And guys, it just does not have to be Meg 7 names, because we've seen a lot of, most people just vote for Meg 7 names. That is very true. But there are other tickers to vote for. If you have a ticker and you're like, hey, I want a little bit more conviction as to whether or not I should do this trade, get involved. Let's figure out what happens. Ruby Millionaire saying, so hold on to your chip stocks. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see here. ARM. Actually, I'm going to pull up ARM because I think that's going to be pretty interesting there. I'm trying to get out here of the rest of this NVIDIA as we pull below that 104.60s. Let's see if we get filled here 104.58s with my final third. Perfect. Great look there in NVDA. Pleased as punch. Prior bar low breakout gone out. What else are we looking at here, though? ARM, I said I'd take a look at. ARM. What is happening over here? Some people mentioning Nike, or C Battles mentioning Nike to the downside. I'll look at that. Okay, so ARM, not a lot of volume here. Some decent support, though. This is the same kind of thing I liked on NVIDIA. We have support, then we have that, we wick into it and continue to hold it. So slightly higher low, especially in a wick basis, not a bad look. Let's see if ARM can get a leg up here over VWAP. Let's see if, we can flex those shoulders, flex those muscles here above that VWAP area into that 122, which was also a bit of an interesting support area here on a wick basis, in my humble opinion. Broadcom curling, Palantir's still holding up really well. Still up a cool almost 12%. Good look for PLTR. Let's see what else is going on. Oh yeah, Nike. I was gonna look at Nike for C Battles. Let's see what battles Nike is fighting today. Over here, like NKE. For a second, it wasn't loading. I was like, Nike, I know you're on the NY here, sir. Down about 0.26. Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, C Battles. It's not a great look here for Nike. We are at low of days, but it's only down about 1/4%. That is a nasty topping tail candle, though, into 81.60s. That is a gross topping tail candle, and Nike does what it usually a stock would do if you see this candle. It quadunks. We break well below that previous support we had here at 80.65s. Continuing to tank. We're trying to find some bottoming tail candles. I would say if it gets back above 80.65s, then into these other previous higher highs, lower highs, lower lows from earlier, that could be interesting. NVIDIA is still curling. Tesla's still curling. I have some things I'm keeping my eye on. I've only traded those two today, but if other things set up, I am more than willing to take those opportunities. Broadcom, particularly if it comes back into those 137, 138 areas I liked from last Friday, I'm going to be hopping in and getting involved. How you doing over here?
Good. All right. I want to talk about APLD because it's really getting going here. I'm in my position on SMMT. I'm backing that one to defend the 10 exponential. Looking at wetting my beak possibly at the $0.25. Then we're going to hold if it holds. So it's gonna have to hold 1950 for me to stay involved. Otherwise, I'm gonzino. APLD though just printed, did day's high, and it did break that Friday IB high there. Shout out to Dan, the dang man Emmons. This was 555 on the second wick, 557 from Friday's high. Now we are up into 570, and we've done a very good job of holding up here at the 10 exponential on the 5-minute chart on APLD. I gave you the deets on this one earlier. It's continuing to go. It's not really your parabolic mover, but it is moving up in a, I don't want to say a predictable fashion, because usually that's when you get clapped in the face by these small cap gappers, but it's as predictable as it's going to be here for a small cap gapper. Very respectful of the 10 exponential, not very wide range per candle. A decent amount here. You have the outlying candle that's a little bit rangy, but we'll keep tabs on that. Now, back to my SMMT trade. Now, this is an interesting level for a couple of reasons. One, if we do reject off here, it'll be a lower high, which obviously is quite bearish. And it's also at the $20 area. The reason I didn't want to use $20 as a level of resistance, number one, I don't short above the volume weighted average price these small cap gappers. Number two, it got a bit above 20. It's not like it got into 20 and a quarter or anything like that. It got to 21.50 with a double top. So I'm looking for a 10 exponential hold here on SMMT. Ultimately, though, it's going to have to hold that 950 area because of the umpteen amount of topping till candles that we had through 950. It's shown you that that's an actual real resistance level on it, despite the fact that the wicks did go into 19 2/3. All the closing prints were south of 1950, so I feel that there is a bit of a buyer that could be a buyer there. There certainly was a seller when it was doing the dance at that $0.50 area. So we'll keep an eye on those. RLAY and APLD looking very similar in their chart patterns today. I'm not saying that they're going to trade the same, but very directional, and they seem to have the spikes and the troughs at very similar areas. So we're going to keep tabs on both of these, well, all three of these, excuse me, to see if we can weasel in a trade. I wanted to mention Dell to everybody over here because Dell's been kind of a sell the news event like much of the megs today. And it's at the volume weighted average price. So this is an interesting area for Dell. The last time it was at VWAP, it did reject. Time before that, it popped up on the IB high and then eventually rejected. 106.75 right now is where it's trading. The volume weighted average price just a skosh below that, 106 2/3. So Dell's an interesting area here. If you are biased that we continue to sell off on this name, this is an interesting area to possibly get short. And there's also this area here too, Fabian. I just got one more thing to say. This area trough from the pre at 840 could be an interesting area of rejection depending on what we do up here. So I'm all eyes on Dell Adair.
Yeah, in this part of the show, we have all of our eyes here and our brains on Firefly Neuroscience. Thank you so much for sponsoring us there. Firefly Neuroscience is revolutionizing brain health. Our groundbreaking brain network analytics technology is transforming care for patients with depression, dementia, anxiety, concussions, and ADHD. With 15 years of research and a wealth of brainwave data, we're set to illuminate the future of diagnostics and treatment. Pharmaceutical companies and medical practitioners, get ready. FDA 510K cleared DNA technology is here to supercharge your clinical trials and enhance patient care. Join us at Firefly Neuroscience, traded on the NASDAQ as AIFF, that's AIFF, and be a part of the next big leap in neuroscience. Ignite hope, one brain at a time. Yeah, I think there's a really great message there. We were talking about you always want to be long brain health. So shout out there to Firefly Neuroscience. Thank you very much for sponsoring us. Also, Tesla, thank you very much for doing your little thing, 21. So TSLA, much like NVIDIA, I liked how it held support here. I had one L short, one W short on TSLA, basically kind of playing off the same levels. I flipped long because I liked that push into 216. We have waffled above 216. 216 to me was a pretty key level for TSLA last Friday. I'll show you what I mean by that. So yeah, here's 216. We kind of come into that support, reject, pop up, pop down, reject. So interesting level. I'm going to add some here at 216 if we stay. I just wanted to wait and see what we did there. 216.01s we're going to add to this position just as gauche. I will be taking out, depending on if we get added, it's either 40% or 25%. It's going to be 25% of the position just because of how I added here at that 216.25 area. That was, to me, a pretty clear level of support earlier. I want to see how we interact at that level. My next area of exit is going to be 216.50s, that other kind of level of support. Basically, same kind of thing I did with NVIDIA, same kind of thing I'm doing with a lot of my trades as of late, is just adding and getting out depending on previous levels of support and resistance. I will be risking this into my average now, which is going to be 215.85. Let's see if TSLA can hold up. We just did a push down and then a push back up. Q's trying to push higher right now. We'll have to wait and see because, as I said, Tesla and the futures, not always besties. Sometimes they get into a little bit of a spat. Sometimes Tesla's like, I'm an individual. I don't need to listen to you, Mom. Like, I don't need to do what you and, my Mag 7 siblings are doing. Who cares? So Tesla can be a little bit rebellious. So with that in mind, I don't want to put too much stock into what the futures are doing as of right now with regards to Tesla, but it is worth being aware of that, of course, as well. Given that it is still a Mag 7 name, whether or not it is a saucy little sibling, which I find it kind of is. So we've got Q's fall 458 doable either today or tomorrow if the short-term uptrend continues, says Trader Forever. Yeah, let's see what we've got going on here, Trader Forever. I feel like it might not take forever for the Qs to reach that level. Yeah, it's about $6 move up here. Kind of an interesting level here. Look at that previous support we had yesterday or Friday. Sorry, 452.20s coming into that 452.10s right now in the Qs. Let's see if it pushes up. Tesla's still hanging around 216. Just watching what these Mag 7s are doing. NVIDIA's still really strong. I had to follow my risk management principles, so I got out of the long, okay, made money on it, so no regrets or complaints from me on that. But nice bit of a curl up here for a lot of these futures names. Someone was mentioning Amazon, relatively strong here, on its ways out to the upside. I don't disagree. Around 175 here, just about 174.50s. Trev, I'm curious, do you think we'll ever decisively break that Amazon 200 block? Do you think someday the yacht will move? And they'll be able to get past that Amazon.
I like that. Level. I like that, Adara.
Thank you.
Well, I think we do. But I'm a little bearish on the market, as you know, until subsequent to the election. And that's, the NOS boss kind of echoed that sentiment. The data seems to echo that sentiment. So we'll see. No two events are alike. I think we do get the 200 breach on Amazon. That's if the government doesn't get involved. Obviously, we know that the government now has a propensity to want to break up these companies and punish success. So that's kind of the way that it is there, and that's okay. But obviously, if there's no government intervention and they let things go as they are, well, then I think we do. But if there is other exterior factors, I don't think we do. So here's a look right now. I'm long on Summit. There was a huge seller at 20. It did get taken out. It was rejecting off there over and over and over and over. Now let's see if we hold 20. I don't want to wet my beak anywhere around here. I'm looking at the $0.25. So it's either I get stopped out or I print at the $0.25. That's the look. Now, I'm also short Dell at this level as well for possible VWAP rejection. A bit of a riskier trade, I'm going to tell you the truth, because I'm not putting a whole lot. There's really no other than VWAP that's propelling me to get short into this trade. I'm looking for a continuation of the downtrend and a rejection of VWAP. We'll see. We're break even at the moment. It's printing 68. I'm short 65. So we'll see what we get there. And we will not get upset no matter what. I'm looking at wetting my beak at the $0.50, and we're moving down aggressively here. But, Dell is a spready one, like its other cousin Meta there, which is we call spreada. And this one not filling me despite the fact that we were at the $0.50. So we're going to have to breach the $0.50 by some distance for me to get filled there, and that's all right. So we'll pack our patience there. SMMT, excuse me for mispronouncing this multiple times already today or missaying this. I'm waiting. I'm basically just trying to ride the trend up. I almost got printed at 20s, but I am sitting at 25. So we're going to have to pack our patience on both these trades. Nothing's printing at the moment, but I do like both of them. Just hope that I don't get weaseled out. I feel like I have more of a chance of getting weaseled out of SMMT, just given that, it's kind of trading like a small cap gapper. I've already made the point that it's not actually a small cap gapper because it's a 13 some odd billion dollar name. But, being the number one or one of the number one names on the scanner, there's going to be a lot of market participation in this name. It's already traded about 30 million shares on the day. So we shall see what the sitch is. But man, APLD's look one that I missed. You can't get them all, baby. This one really directional and kind of really getting extended away from the 10 exponential on the 5. It is now knocking on the door of $6. 598 HOD on APLD, 31 to 5th percent. Do we find some resistance here? I mean, I don't know if this is a pay for shorts type situation. I'm assuming that it is. In any event, I'd rather take it as a long once it does come back into that 570 area, 569. The reason being, that's where the 10 exponential is on the 5-minute chart. I'd rather take a dip trade on this one than wait for it to break below 5 1/3 where VWAP is, because I'm not going to short this not going to short this if it's trading above the volume weighted average price. So we'll look to see what we get here with APLD. Packing my patience on both these trades. Still basically 10 cents out of the money right now on Dell. It's holding up, though, I got to tell you, at VWAP. We're going to have to see if I get triggered out before it makes another attempt at the $0.50. That's where I was waiting last time, but alas, I did not get filled as it did not cross. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this one. Palantir, as well as I see from my side chart, it's coming back in a day's high. So yeah, maybe the initial market move was to the downside on this one. Well, actually, looks like the 930 print took it to the upside. Maybe a little bit of a retracement there at around 10 o'clock. But now we are at the high of the day on PLTR, breaking through that, what was that, 34.15 or whatever it was there, on our way to 34.25. Palantir, that addition to the S&P 500, doing it very well today as it works into day's high. Not so the case with Dell, which has me short, but alas, I'm still out of the money on this one, and now by about 15 pennies. So we're going to have to keep an eye and make sure that it doesn't breach that 107 area. I put in my stop already, and I've given it a bit of room, too, in case this one really, the liquidity drops off from the bottom of this one. But ideally, I'd like to see the trend continue, which has been lower highs and lower lows on Dell. If that breaks, then we end up losing money there.
Yeah, I mean, we lost a little bit of money here in Tesla. It was the same kind of issues. Like I said, I need to work on my orders. I wasn't able to get filled, so got out slightly flat. Lost a couple cents here in TSLA with the average, basically. And I need to work on this. It's like if you're going to take these trades into clear areas of resistance, just get the whole thing out there, and then also make sure you're like giving it a couple, I guess, pennies above what you want, right? So didn't work out there, got out flat, it's all good. I've been watching the book here. I tried to get that short 215.50, risking into 215.75, because you guys will know sometimes I'll talk about, like, if the trade doesn't work out, if you switch directions, sometimes you can use what was your stop for one trade as your entry for a new one, or vice versa, right? Use your entry as a stop, that type of thing, right? As long as you've seen the levels interact in the book and on the chart. Wasn't able to get filled. Tesla, a little bit rangy here, not the clearest on the book here, bouncing 215.30s to about 215.60s. It's not the cleanest, though, so I don't want to get involved here. NVIDIA, as we get a green candle in the Qs, we finally get a red candle in NVIDIA, and we get it top and tailing into VWAP. You know what I call this? RAR. The claws might be out here for some of them Bears, Sharif. Shout out to Chicago Bears, I guess. I don't know if that's the right team. But
yeah, they played yesterday.
Okay, nice.
You're right. You're good.
So I will be getting shortier 104.99s. I'm not going to get filled. We're going to wait. Let's see what we do here if we get into 104.80s. Trying to get into that right now. The 80-cent level was interesting to me earlier, and I've talked about at the 103.80s, and I've talked about sometimes how on the book you'll see levels come up, like cent levels on the book on multiple cents. Like sometimes, for some days, for example, the SPY will get really into 20s, so it'll be like 545 20s, 546 20s. There'll be some interaction. NVIDIA today for me is 80s, so we'll see what happens there. And again, guys, that is just my personal experience with the book. You have to, figure out what works for you. But I've noticed sometimes these cent levels can be really interesting. If there's anything you're finding interesting, please vote in the chat. Exclamation point.
Cheers.
Space. $sign. Started to tie $sign. I don't know. I felt like it. And let us know in the chat what you are looking at here. Hog Rider saying Google found a bottom. You are not wrong here. But I also think with Google too, you want to make sure you're really confident with this one, just because it is a lot weaker compared to its Mag 7 friends, cousins, siblings, whatever. That being said, I don't know why my 3-minute, my side chart is a 3-minute in Google, so I switched that to a 5. Look at this bottoming tail candle here. We hold support at 148. Then we wick into 148. What do we do, Sharif?
What do we do?
We bounce back. Shout out to Big Sean. I would like to see what we do here at 149.20s, because then we'll know if this move is real. If it hits it and it continues and it doesn't bounce back, so that retrace to the downside.
Bang.
I'm going to stop quoting that song, but we'll see what we do here at this 149.30s, 149.40s. That was a bit of a chip chop area. I don't want to say it was an umbrella handle pattern because it wasn't really, but it was a bit of a brief pause in the downtrend before we had more downside move. So to me, like, yeah, if we break above that level, this could be a real support. Either way, that 148 looks great. Shout out to you, Hog Riders. Thank you very much for putting that one out to us. Apple, Sharif's dear friend, and a stock we affectionately call the dead one. What are you doing here at VWAP, Apple? VWAPple. Look at this. We push above VWAP here.
What?
We have a bit of a bounce here at 219s, right? Bottoming tail candle. Then form a bit of a topping tail candle, rejecting into that previous area of resistance at 219.80s. I don't want to say Apple's a short here, but Apple might be a short here to me. We have that event coming up at 1 p.m. I'm going to find a way to stream that so I can cover that info for you all because I do love watching these company events and Fed speak.
Is it recorded?
It brings me a great amount of joy. I will find out. Usually you can watch them live, I believe, but I'll find out here, Apple.
No, like, I mean, are they doing like a live thing or is it they record it and then they're kind of broadcasting it? You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. Apparently, yeah, you can watch it on their YouTube channel.
Okay.
So it looks like it could be live here.
Okay.
Well, I'll have it open so I'll let you guys know. It's not like I want to short or trade every single Mag 7 name today, like what up NVIDIA and Tesla. But if levels set up, I actually don't mind trading, shorting Apple here. We just tried to break above that 219.50. We couldn't. I'd risk it into 219.75. Yeah, that actually makes sense to me. So I think I might take a bite out of this apple before we get Tim cooking with that event.
Like it.
How is your climbing of your summit? How is that climbing?
Good, Adara, good. We wet our beak at the fifth of a dollar, the quarter of a dollar. I'm now waiting at a little bit higher than the third. I'm waiting at 40s. The higher low situation is still intact. The respect for the 10 exponential, for now, is still intact. We're gonna have to see if it does or not. But I gotta tell you, there is somebody shorting it up here at around the fifth of a dollar. Okay, because it does work its way through 20. We're long 95s. It does work its way through 20, and then it's either met, at 22, 23, and here it goes. Drop. Now let's see what it does to 1950, because that's where my out is. So this just breached 20. So now it's actually gonna break what seems to be the 10 exponential on the 5 for the first time of the day, but it keeps getting bought up. Every time it dipped in, okay, so got dipped into the 80s there, getting bought right back up into the 10s. So SMMT is strong, but it's a zigzagger. It's trading like a small cap gapper. So again, it's not market cap wise, a small cap gapper, but it's in its actions, it's trading like one. Trade it like one is what I would say, my suggestion. Now, this trade is annoying me to no end on Dell here because it's doing around a top, but it keeps wicking down and somebody's buying it at the half dollar. I'm unable to get filled. So we're like 6 or 7 pennies out of the money at the moment on this one. It's doing everything that I want to see, which is lower high on every successive candle. Yet we're printless on this yet, despite the fact that I've been waiting in front of the half dollar. It's not like I'm sitting right at 50 pennies. It's telling me, I don't care where you're sitting, bruh. You're not getting printed until I say you get printed. So we're going to have to continue to wait on this one. And if we stop out above 107, then we stop out above 107. That's a sitch. Now, back to SMMT. This one's continuing to go. But really, the best trade, in my humble opinion, on these small cap gappers is going to be APL dang T. Now, when I saw this one reject off 6, I was like, oh, fantastic. We were waxing poetic, to use an Adaraism, that it was extended away from the 10 on the 5, and therefore you got to wait until it comes back a little bit closer to the 10. Well, you know what? It gave you that closer aspect. It came into that 579, 580, but you were too blind to see it. I'm speaking to myself, to be able to see that it was going to bounce off that level. You insisted that it will come into the 10 exponential on the 5 at around a $0.75, and it gave you it made a hand gesture to you. And it went right back above to $6. Again, it's knocking the door. It's been knocking the door of $6 for a hot minute. We have a triple top, but if I had to guess, I think we breach 6 rather than reject 6 just because we're so extended and we're so strong off this name. So we'll see if a decline comes in and a retracement into a key level. I'll be very interested to enter APLD, but I certainly will not enter it at the triple top area vis-a-vis $6. So we're going to have to pack our patience there. Both trades, SMMT and Dell, neither of which have printed. Again, I've been, just waiting and waiting and waiting. What's SMMT doing? Still dancing around that $20 area with no print. We're going to pack our patience there. Dell, I'm going to be concerned if this starts making newer highs. So we saw the rounded top at the volume weighted average price that we wanted to see. We saw the lower highs, yada, yada, yada. That's not going to be forever and ever. There's going to be a change in trend, and that looks like it might be coming in here as it starts reascending possibly into that 107. A breach of 107 ends the trade for me. What was going on over there, Katina Man, when you were riding through the screen? Was that you? The Katina Man is long Amazon at these levels, and I'm going to try and guess where. Hold on. We got to play the game, Katina Man. Let me have a look. So I know you love VWAP. I know that's for a fact. So come on. You know you have a VWAP scanner. 174.40 to 174.50. Oh, wow. I was a little off. 173.63. I figured he was VWAP. But he has literally the low of day there. Say it again? That's when he took off. That's when he got up from the show. So he's long 173.63, essentially the lower end of the trough on the day. And I think that brings us to the IB low. So shout out to the Dan Katina Man there. He's printing up a storm on Amazon. We're going to shut him out. I hope he prints more.
Yeah, we hope he prints more. Apple, if you'd like to print it all, let me know. Basically, Apple, I will say I feel a little bit emboldened by the fact that I said I was reaching to 219.75s, right? We wick into 219.74s, and then we run away. So aggressively on the book. It smacks the downside. I was like, okay, Apple, I see you. You don't want 75s. Ooh. That's great. I will stay here, and I will wait for you to bleed. I would like this apple to be red delicious, Sharif. I don't want any Granny Smiths up in here.
You haven't gotten that dark before. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. I feel really good about this trade.
Nice.
Started small. I'm going to add if we break below that 30s levels, because look how many times we've wicked into this. It's been 3 now. I guess it's not that many times, but it's enough for me to think if we break below that level, that could be a nice area to add. I'm going to watch our interactions here at 219. If we still have some aggression to the downside, I will be adding a 219. If not, we'll probably take out a piece because I will have built a decent size at that point. We're going to take some more profit here at 218.60s. 218s, we're going to be taking, we're going to be biting on some profit there. Crunch, 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 num, num, num. Eating that apple crisp. Let's see what's going on here. Let's get nice and crispy to the downside on Apple. I am also emboldened by the fact that we had some pushes up in the queues, and Apple was like, do I care? No, I don't, Adara. I will keep selling off. I was like, no, thank you.
Wow.
We added here at 32s, added to just double the position here. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to risk this into 219.50s. I'm cool with that. It's going to be 10 cents out of the money, but I really don't mind because that 219.50s to me is a pretty clear level. I might have added too early. We'll find out. We'll wait. We'll see. I am trying to work, like I've said, one of the biggest things I find I'm working on is moving my stops. And where I move my stops doesn't make sense where I'm moving them. So still trying to work on that. The other area I might move it to, I'll just wait to see the interactions at 219.50s. I think it might also make sense to move it to 219.60s. That would still be a lower high. But like I said, I don't want to give myself too much leeway. I'm just trying to find stops that are realistic. And I think, I'm not I've been trading for almost a year now, if you include Sim and Live, but I'm still trying to figure out my sweet spot, trying to figure out my style. So I'm willing to kind of learn and grow with that. And that's why I'm so happy to be a part of this prop floor. I've only ever traded here in front of everybody for these 3 hours a day. And so it's been a really great experience. Helping to build my confidence, my conviction, and all that jazz. Lionel Martinez saying, join GME. If you guys have any stocks you want to vote for, please do so exactly how we did. But Lionel, make sure you have a space between so you want exclamation point, join, space, $, GME. Thank you, Bears versus Bulls, for helping out with the voting there. We want to make sure everyone is voting properly in our democratic Trader TV community. I'm an Apple. I was like, why is that book an? I'm like, yeah, you're not NVIDIA, you're an Apple. Calm down. Too many Mag 7 names today, Sharif. Too many Mag 7.
Feel you.
But GME here, wow. At highs of days, double bottom, nice bounce here of 25.50s. Had a bit of, interestingly enough, some resistance here at 24.40s. Couple topping tail candles here. We come back, we do it again, and we push higher. It's not really a cup and handle because this is a little bit sharper. It's kind of more like a wine glass. Either way, we bounce. Apple, I'm going to have to evaluate here because we are pushing above that 219.50s. Let's see what we do at 219.60s as the Qs push even higher. How are you doing, Sharif, with your trades? Any updates on those?
No, no updates on any trade right now. Nothing has triggered, whether as a stop or as a beak wetter. But look, guys, APLD, topping tail candle, really ugly. Hasn't closed yet. We have another minute, I believe, till this candle closes. A breach through 6, a level which it had a lot of problems with, and it's not a far breach. It's a 610 breach. Look at this inverse hammer candle form right now. Again, it still hasn't closed. And again, this is a small cap gapper style stock. So the bamboozlement can be real, can be fast and furious. You can get a hammer like candle like that, and the subsequent candle can make a new high and close green. So you just need to be on the lookout for bamboozlement. And just personally, I don't like shorting these very strong momentum names above VWAP, and this one is well above VWAP, about 50 pennies or so above that. And relative to the move on the day, 50 pennies is quite a bit. So we'll see what this candle does. We're still above the 10 on the 5. Maybe if you're long this stock, wet your beak here in front of 6, but I'm certainly not going to short it in and around here. That is until it breaches that 545 or wherever VWAP's hanging out at the time. So SMMT, we're still in the money. This one did a nice little 20 period bounce and then got bought up. The one, not the only, I'm concerned about both trades, but the trade I'm most concerned about is Dell. Knowing that people have to buy up this name, right? Because it's being added to the S&P 500, and if you're an ETF that tracks the S&P, then you gotta buy it to put it in your portfolio in order to reflect it accurately. I got all that, but it had issues with the level. So price action wise, I liked it, but if it breaches that 107, that's going to be the end of that trade. And it's been hanging out at this 107 area for a hot minute. So I'm a little concerned with respect to this trade. And I'm keeping an eye on the levels where it seems to find a bid and incrementally higher every time. So not looking good for me here. We'll see. Jay Lee, I've been seeing you tag me in the chat. Sorry, I've just been involved in these trades, so I've had to monitor them. I saw you talking about Boyle earlier. I see you talking about RLAY up almost $10. Shout out to Jay Lee, man. Jay Lee knows what he's doing. He likes these names that are commodity based, especially these ETFs. If you've been following the channel for a long time and you've been, participating in the chat, you know that Jay has his levels down pat, especially with UNG Boyle, and he trades those often. So shout out to him. It looks like the NOS boss has the same idea as you today, Jay, but he's not going to give it that much room, and he's taking it with smaller size, seeing that, it's the Widowmaker and all. And, I think it was a bit of a statement on his part saying that he'd take a bigger position in Bitcoin, seeing his feelings on Bitcoin than he would in UNG Adira. So, or nat gas in general. Don't mean to disrespect UNG as an ETF, but that's the sitch. All right, Dell is going to stop me out. Looks like any moment here, unless we really get a flush at this 107 level. It's the first time we've been printing consistently on both the bid and the ask above 107. I'm really close to getting stopped out. If we get stopped out, that's the sitch. All right, back to SMMT. We're back above 20 pennies again. I'm not interested in wetting my beak here. In fact, I'm quite disappointed that I didn't get my dollar cost average at 65. In fact, I wanted to get it at 60, and I front ran it thinking that, 5 pennies was enough. Shows how much I know, which is not a lot. So didn't get filled there on that little descent that we had to the 20 exponential moving average on the 5. We're working back up to 20. I'm waiting in the high 30s, I believe low 40s there for the look. And Dell on the verge of getting stopped out. I hate the suspense. Stop me out already, or just, do something. So shout out to what's going on over there, Katina, man? Sorry, there. $1.60 in the dang money on AMZN. He wet his beak, which is, normal. I'm out. I've just been stopped out of Dell as it did break that 107.10. So now we're negatory on Delski, and that's going to be the situation. So we'll go for one so far, but probably negative on the day, given that this was a bit of a bigger move up than the beak wetters on SMMT. We'll see. We'll see as the day goes on.
You're saying it finally took you out of your limbo and sent you straight to Dell.
Oh, I like that.
I was pretty proud of that one. Thank you.
Oh, it's so funny on the weekend. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I have because you said Dell, which obviously meant hell, and so that got me thinking.
The implication was,
I have a friend, Adira.
Okay.
He's not the best at English, so I don't want to disrespect him, but I almost fell over when he called Satan Satan.
I kind of like that.
Satan. I'm calling him Satan from now on. He's red satin Satan. Red satin Satan. Yeah, but he had me die, and he's like, Satan never leaves me alone. I'm like, who? Do you have a friend named Satan? He's like, no, Satan. I'm like, well, who's Satan? Like, I don't know who Satan is. Really? Well, he's not of that heritage. Remember, and not said that way. Phonetically spoken. All right, Fabian, we're having a little joke. You don't have to make it, you have to explain the whole thing, but shout out to my buddy. He knows who he is. How's it going there, Dara?
Yeah, shout out also to Devil in a Red Dress by Kanye West, because that song is underrated and it features the iconic Rick Ross as well. Shout out to Florida. But either way, you know, AVGO is right now a Devil in a Green Dress. I'm kicking myself a little bit for missing that long at 137. I had this pulled up too. It looked very bull flaggish. It was trying to break above that VWAP and that previous support level. We call that confluence over here on Trader TV Live. And basically, I didn't take the long, because I was like, oh, but that wasn't one of your levels from Friday. Your levels from Friday were like 138 and 137 70s and 138 40s. So I didn't take this obvious level because I was like, it wasn't one of yesterday's levels. It's the biggest thing too. Sometimes your levels do not matter. The market doesn't care. That being said, 138.40 level I liked from Friday is actually becoming some resistance here. So I'm going to take that. I'll risk it into 138.70s, which, as I said, another level I liked. So I'm definitely cool with that. You know, we'll risk it into like 35. Let's take a smaller position here. We'll do that. And we'll do that. And let's go and see what occurs here on this here market, Sharif. I'm going to try to get involved at 40s. I like that topping tail candle, and I like that we got it at a level I was previously interested in. I'll add if we break below into that 138s here. We'll be adding some. I want to see what we do around 137s, but like I said, 137.70 is another level I found interesting from yesterday. That's going to be the trade. Sometimes you're not, okay, wow, Broadcom, you want to break down? Let's have go, Sharif.
Get it, Adara.
Let's have go. We're not getting anything yet. We're staying patient. We're staying poised. Oh, as poised as I am usually, which is usually a little wild and herky-jerky and all over the place. Let's see what this market gives us, because I do think there's some downside opportunities. To be fair, the Q's still in an uptrend. Broadcom very much in an uptrend, but I find the level at which we broke down really interesting. We wick into one of the levels I like yesterday and then break down from the other one I found interesting. Again, they're just my levels. They don't mean anything to anyone but me, but they did consistently interact during Friday's session, so I do think I know I want some of that smoke. Maybe we'll get rinsed. But sometimes you have to get, rinsed from smoke because they're fires, and you don't want to get burnt. So you want all the smoke within reason. Weird analogy over. What are other people looking at here? I'm going to just put up the AVGO. Also, so I got on my Apple trade.
Wow, Apple, what the hell?
So AAPL, I actually did get out of the short. Happy with what I did here. I said I was risking tentatively into that 219.50, 219.60 area. We bounced off 219.60s. We bounced at 219.50, so I said, Adara, get out here. That's cool. You can live with that. Lost about, 14 pennies, I think, on the average. So not a bad look there. Like I said, I was looking for break even, but I think one of the biggest things I've said is I'm really trying to get better at moving my stops while I'm in these trades that are working out, especially because a lot of the stocks I trade are, to put it lightly, very spready and a little bit monstrous. So when you're going to trade a little bit more of these wild and woolly names, you want to be cognizant of that. You want to be trading them appropriately. 1BN, I can speak un petit peu français. I do have, my grandfather was from Quebec. I'm talking, my last name's Quebecois. I've talked about that a little bit. My French is definitely not fluent, but I have a pretty good understanding of the language. So shout out to you. 1BN, I guess that's 1 billion in the chat. Hopefully you are making a billy.
Yeah, I knew you were going with that. I love it.
Right, why not? Oh, $2 club here for Amazon, Sean. Amazon, more like over here. Take a look at the AMZN here. Wow, Amazon, you get my first pushback of the day, I'm pretty sure. Look at that bounce here off that 175 level. We chip, we chop, we break down, we come back, we bounce, and it's off to the races for AMZN. Look at these VWAP bounces as well. Also coming into that previous support area at 174.35. AMZN, I don't look at you enough. I really don't. But, oh boy, that's a great look. Before I pass it back here, I'm going to look at SPY for 1 billion. SPY, I always have that on my side chart. I talked about my permanent SPY chart. I'll move around a lot of my other side charts and side books, but the SPY book never leaves me. I always have the thing up because I find this one really fun to scalp if it's coming into levels. But to be honest, I haven't been looking at it much today. This is interesting. If we can't break above that 464.40 previous high of day, things get a little bit dicey for me. And I say that because we had these topping tail candles. Again, as I say that, the SPY breaks out. Basically, my comment on the SPY is really strong. I do like that 544.60 level. That was a bit interesting on our initial way up, but we curled back around it, didn't even touch it. So I'm not sure this is going to be a really significant area of confluence, though it could be because it's about VWAP now, and it was pretty interesting earlier. To me, my biggest level in the SPY, and we haven't even hit it today, 541.50s. I talked about that a lot yesterday. It's basically ended up being a high of that range break. Yeah, I'll show you guys what I mean. I forgot my SPY chart didn't work yesterday or on Friday for some reason, but basically 541.50 was a really clear support resistance flip. It was previous low of day on the SPY. So that would be my level on the S&P 500. The other one I like here, 544.20s in addition to that 544.60s. Look at these interactions here. We have these topping tail candles, we kudunk, we come back, we whiffle, we waffle, and we popple. So nice snap, crackle, pop up here for the SPY. Broadcom kind of whiffling and waffling as well. No comments on this one right now. Just waiting to see what direction it would like to take me. So it's not the bomb.Broadcom yet.
Oh.
But we'll have to wait and see. Day 2 earnings for that guy. How are you doing?
Good. I just took a quick little trade there on Apple. I'm holding a tiny piece. I was looking for a $0.50 break. If it doesn't break the $0.50 and it breaks below 30, we'll get out and then we'll look to get back in if it does hold. So that's the situation right now on Apple. Keeping my eye on SMMT as well. There is somebody buying up a storm here at 31s on Apple. That was really weird. Okay, keeping an eye on this. This is like churning a lot of shares at a very unique level over here. 32, what's going on? Look at this, churning a whole bunch of shares. Interesting. It's going to break, though. Looks like the $0.50 or there we go. We got stopped out there as it did break. So we'll keep an eye there on Apple. Back to SMMT. Oh, wow. This is doing nothing, bro. How long are we going to wait here at 20 pennies? And I'm neither getting filled on the dips down into the previous resistance. I'm going to have to move it up a bit because I'm sitting here at 65 is a fool's game, it looks like. So I'm going to move this up a skosh to take advantage of this range, knowing full well that the bottom could drop off, even though, it's not a small cap gapper in the strict sense. It's trading like one today. So I've got to keep my eye on that. Let's look at also Dell because I'd like to see what this one is doing. So it does breach 107. Let's move back over here. But it's still above VWAP here. But there is an interesting level here at 107.20. Now, if I am to get in here, there is support at 106.90, right? This long area of consolidation. Looks like I just had the wrong time on Dell and the right idea. It's coming right back down here. So how are we going to execute? What's the situation? So I need to break. It needs to break down below that 90 penny area because I know that that's an area of support off which I don't want to get in. So I'm going to keep my eye on that one. We'll talk, I guess, about this one and every other one that we've been talking about when we do get back from Neil's lesson of the day.
Heyo, welcome to your lesson of the day, brought to you by this nasty green sweater. No, I'm kidding, of course. Brought to you by Moomoo. Rate cuts are on the horizon. The market's about to shift. You're doing so already. Just look at NVIDIA, down 35%. One moment, then bouncing back the next. To protect your gains, you need Moomoo's trailing stop orders. Partnered with NASDAQ, Moomoo is your top investing app. And unlike typical stop orders, ours move up as your stock rises, locking in profits before a drop. And it works for options too. Plus, enjoy zero commission, zero contract fees, 8.1 APY on uninvested cash, and 15 free stocks. Don't miss out. Check the link in the description or scan the QR code below. Shout out to Moomoo, and thank you so much for that. And speaking of market shifts, well, the market shifts up and down, but the indexes shift what's in and out of them, which is all the rage today. So look, anyone, you had to be, okay, well, it's possible you just weren't looking at the markets today, and in which case, I should tell you that Dell and Palantir are going to be going into the S&P 500, and Etsy and American Airlines are coming out. There's a couple of other things. There's a bunch of other stuff that happens, but if you missed that story, then you would have missed one of the biggest catalysts. Now, you're going to ask yourself, why is it, oh, Dell's doing nothing and slightly trending down? Palantir is basically breaking out and trending higher. American Airlines, which is coming out, okay, that's, I mean, look, nice trend down, but it's up on the day, and it actually went up initially at the open. And then Etsy, the other name that we're concerned with here. They're coming out of the SP 500. Wait a minute, kind of like American Airlines. They're up on the day and they were up at the open. So it's not about always trying to, explain, this is why this happened, but let's try to understand the story a little bit more to see what differentiates them. Now, it's pretty straightforward in addition to for the two ads. You know, Dell is going straight in, Palantir is going straight in as well. But when we're talking about Dell in the pre-market, we're sort of looking at this as very, very different sentiment-wise than Palantir. And I think that should be obvious. Look at Dell's chart, which has been a screaming sell with the exception of the Black Monday area bottoms, which it managed to hold on to in the high 80s and the 90 levels. But since then, it's like every single pop, of which there have been some decent ones, every single pop has been a shorting opportunity. So all it did today was try to go, not break out resistance, and pull back in. So you can understand why the two ones going in, the other one was Palantir trending up, breaking out. Why was this better? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Palantir was on an upward trend. You wanted to see were there buyers breaking it in that fresh high? The answer was yes. Dell was in a downward trend. Were there buyers to break it out of the downward trend? There were not. And so you get a little bit of a sell the news event as opposed to some exuberance for PLTR. Now, where it gets a little more complicated is American Airlines and Etsy. Now, could you have sniffed out that these were going to go to the upside? Maybe, maybe not. But the difference between these and Palantir are American Airlines is going from the S&P 500, so I believe that's the mid-cap 400, and Etsy is going from the 500 to the 600 small cap. So both of these are going from one index to another. They're not just getting completely dumped like they're not going to be tracked in anything, and oftentimes that doesn't make it as clear. And whenever that's the catalyst, whether it's the day of on the close or the day of the announcement, usually expecting a bit of a mixed bag, as there's going to be some traders that think it's an automatic short when it's not just a bunch of people dumping it the way they were buying Palantir at the open. You get some, let's just say probably some stops run at an obvious resistance level, or anybody thinking it's going to be an easy short. Well, there's enough equilibrium to stop them out a couple of times before it happens. Now, ultimately, it does trend back into the downside, but one that's not so automatic here in the opposite direction. You had to be a little bit patient with it. And I think the similar thing happened over on Etsy. Like, yeah, there was a short available, but this is a more extreme example. At the open, they just start buying and buying and buying it and buying it and buying it. Eventually, it rolls over. So there's a few things that you want to consider when you get a catalyst like this. One, if something is going out of an index, is it being deleted for good out of the indexes and it's not going to be tracked anywhere? Is it going into another? If that's the case, then if you're just going to sit there and sell it, you better make sure it's rejecting key price levels or you have yourself a good entry. It's not obvious. And if something is going into an index, then I wouldn't just blindly buy it either. When something's going into the index, you want to see how the news is being taken. In Dell's case, there was an expectation. You were getting all kinds of rumors about this before, and it couldn't even gap past the day before, the Friday before the announcement. It couldn't gap past the highs. It couldn't go past any of the old resistance levels. So clearly the market was giving you an indication that they didn't like this as much as Palantir, where you're gapping through everything and breaking. I mean, you were already testing 52-week highs going into it. So a distinctly different reaction. You can't just look at news and say, this is good news, this is bad news. You've got to line a few other things up better. You've got to understand what does this actually mean for the stocks and the indexes. And then the second thing you've got to see is, well, what's the market telling you by way of reaction? And in this particular case, it showed you for the two ads which one was better than the other. And I'm going to do one more here when I end it off, because I think we're all going to want to watch the cautionary tale of SMCI or Uber. It doesn't really matter which one. Those are probably the two last prominent to go into the S&P. Generally speaking, you'll rally into the addition, and then there will be like a sell the news type of event. So when the 23rd comes around and these index changes end up happening, don't forget that historically, a lot of times you will rally into it the 2 weeks before, but then there is a little bit of selling coming into it after. SMCI is a much, much more extreme example of that. But if you ever want to understand why sometimes the reaction is vastly different from what you're expecting on additions and deletions and all that good stuff for indexes, try to understand. Is something getting added from nothing to in the index? Is it going from one to another, which isn't as big of a deal? Is it getting deleted from the big and going into the small? It's not good, but it's not as big of a deal as if it was being dropped altogether. So knowing which one to pick for your trading vehicle is absolutely everything, because there were 4 or 5 you could have picked today, and there was only one that truly set up perfectly. Palantir, clean ad. Palantir breaking and testing new highs, confirming that the buying was in on that name. So there are all kinds of reasons why that was number one, but you also have to consider why you might not have been excited about Etsy and AAL and Dell. All 3 of them were disappointments, but there were reasons why you shouldn't have been as excited about them going into this morning. That's your lesson of the day. Good luck, everybody trading. Man, SMCI's chart looks ugly.
Thank you very much, Neil. Dropping hot lines as always. Neil Roberts every day, everybody, every day around that noon hour. He drops Neilage, aka hot lines. He's a hotline dropper. Thank you very much, Neil. Eloquent, awesome, and informative as always. All right, did well here on SMMT. I will talk about that one before I talk about the bad trade on Apple in a hot second. So this one, this is stair stepping up, and I'm still holding. We're long 92s. Now we're printing 40s. Let's see if we can get up a little bit more. Its cousins APLD, RLAY, and LASE are all moving pretty parabolically. Let's go, SMMT. Where are you at in this parabolic movement in the scanner list today? So we'll keep an eye on this one. Obviously, looking at that $21 level as an area of stronger resistance. We did have a breach of that level earlier, but it was short-lived. Getting into that 21.50 double top. We only spent like a few minutes there, if that, above 21 bucks. So that's a look there. It's been very, very respectful. I mean, you love to see this on these kind of trades. Very respectful of the 10 exponential ever since really reclaiming, that 19 3/4. So we talked about that 19.5 being an operative level with the wicks obviously coming into 19 2/3, 19 3/4. We were using that obviously as resistance since basically 1040 till when we broke through at 1115. Since that break at 1115, that 1950, 19 2/3, that general area has acted as support. And then, with the exception of these 2 red candles over here, every print, wick or otherwise, has been above the 10 exponential, and we did break through this 20 1/4. So there was a seller. I've been watching this for a hot minute. We've been selling at around the 1/5 of a dollar to a 1/4 of a dollar. I don't know if it was the same seller. We would breach, by a couple of pennies and come right back down again. That got broken because we wet our beak at 40s. Now let's see if we can work into 21. So that's a look there on SMMT. Great look, 25.5% higher at the top. Now, the trade on Apple was not good. Let me tell you why. So what I was looking for here, this is Microsoft. That's not Apple. What I was looking for here was a continuation to the closing print of Friday. That closing print, 20 3/4. So I figured, all right, you broke through VWAP. Yeah, you broke through that 220. So, 2 areas that I would have had eyes on for possible resistance. It broke all of that. It even broke the area crest over here at 20 1/5. Because why? Well, we got to 20 1/2. So it's like, all right, this is headed back at least to 2080 or, break even on the day. No, it decided to stop here. And so I got stopped out. So now it looks like it's featuring, for whatever reason here, and you can't tell which moving average it's respecting because the 10 and the 50 are overlapping at the moment, but it's finding some support at 219 3/4. Not sure why. We'll see if it continues to do that or whether this is just, we're going to range until the event. It's 12 o'clock their time, 3 o'clock our time?
It's 1 p.m. our time.
1 p.m. our time. Amazing.
10 o'clock their time.
Amazing. So we are like 42 minutes away from that event. Can't wait. But I think this is all priced in. I don't know how many things were, are still unknowns. So much has leaked out so far, whether it's respect to the color, the camera bump, what to expect on the actual phone, the chip that's going to be included. We already know most of this information through leaks. Let's see how much of it is unpriced or unfactored or not discounted, to use a proper term, into the market. So we'll see. 220 again for Apple now, knocking on the door again. I don't have any trades on Apple until it sets up a little bit differently here. Let's look at some of these small cap gappers. Yeah, man. All right, so we're going on all of them. RLAY, APLD, LASE, SMMT, they're all doing quite well. Look at Palantir as well, man. Palantir trading like a dang small cap gapper, so directional. Look at that move on Friday. We didn't give back any of the move. Remember we were talking about $30 being that like hard line level on Palantir? That feels like a long time ago, whether it was Black Monday, Adara, that printed, and we couldn't break that $30 after a solid earnings report in early August, or what the deal is, but this thing is on the way up. And sadly, let's call a spade, man. Belligerencies across the world are increasing rapidly. Countries that never armed are rearming. And so it's just going to be like this kind of type of stock that you feel is going to do well. It's just going to be a stock picker's market. Adara, what's your look?
I actually did have a trade on Apple here, so I sized this actually pretty aggressively to start because I felt really good about that 220 breakdown. I saw it break down. I took the retest of the breakdown, which I know is something I don't normally love doing, but I like that 220 level. I like that we had that topping tail candle. I said, dope, Adara, give it a try. Gave it a try, took 25 cents here with a quarter of the position, got the rest out, break even. So solid, happy with what I did there. For context, I was initially risking to 220.20. Once we were in the money, I said, switch your stop to break even. Worked out nicely. Much like Sharif, I don't have any other trades at Apple at these levels. However, if we break below 219.75, which was an area that I was using as a stop for my short and a profit taker for my second short, that 220.75 to me, or sorry, 219.75, huge. We break below that, Sharif, guess how much smoke I want? If you said all of it, you'd be correct.
Okay.
I'm willing to size into it pretty aggressively, willing to risk pretty aggressively, not like within reason. So we'll see how that goes. Feel good about this Apple, but I'm not going to get involved till I break below that 219.75. If there's any stocks that you're singing to or you have levels on, please get in the chat and let us know so that Sean and Neil can look at them on the afternoon show. This segment is brought to you by Real Trading. It is for the viewers. If you have tickers you like, vote, join, space, $, your ticker, because we want to know what tickers you want all the smoke from. I had this short here, 138.40, added at 138, and I've had kind of a continued issue of adding at places where maybe you shouldn't be adding. I ended up getting out of this break even, so it's all good there in terms of like where the average price. So it happened. We're okay. We're pretty far removed from any of my AVGO levels as of right now. But like I said, I love that 138.70s, which are kind of near that 138.40s as well. I'm obsessed with, so I'll still be watching Broadcom, but I don't have any trades on it right now. Other tickers I was watching were Tesla. That was beautifully up at 217. Was I there? Not at all. So nice look for Tesla continuing higher. No look for me. NVDA, though. Clearly I left this long. Let's go, Shirley. But it's all good. You're going to get everything. That being said, this 105.20 area, support. I love this. I think if we break below 105.20, that's going to be a juicy little short there. Ooh. From support to a short. We'll find out, though. It hasn't quite manifested yet. We are running into a skosh of resistance here at that 105.40 area. So it gives you about like a 20-cent range. We used to call them Adara Panera ranges. I was quite the range trader. I have moved away from them a little bit. But it's also worth noting this area we're rejecting here was almost, not exactly, but some of that previous support resistance we started forming here right after the open. Right. I find this level to be pretty interesting. I'll have eyes on it, but I don't have any trades on it as of right now. Apple, though. Apple, could you looking into my levels? Apple, can you break below 219.75? Or are you going to hold a higher low? If you hold a higher low, I'm going to have to say no. But if you break below, in a short, we must go. I will stop trying to do poem here. If you have any tickers you like, let us know in the chat. I also want to quickly look at GME for everybody here. GME. The game never stops, Sharif. The game is always afoot. Shout out to Sherlock Holmes.
Shout out
You would not have to be a detective, though, to notice this name is sharply to the upside. I also, oh my gosh, I love this here in GameStop, that 24.60. GameStop, don't make me trade you. I really don't have like the perspicacity. I don't have the energy to deal with you right now. Look at that rejection here at this 24.60. We bounce here off 24.30s. Look where we're trying to bounce. 24.60. GameStop, don't do this to me. I'm really tempted to get involved, and I really don't want to be involved in GME. So we'll see if this one gives me anything. But the amount that I don't want to be involved in it is like pretty intense. And not like I'm scared of stocks. I just find GameStop to not always behave like a stock. That being said, I've taken shorts on it. Like if it behaves normally, if I like what I'm seeing, I will get involved. This is my type of playbook in that it's support resistance flips. So I don't want to say no to it, but I like my Apple setup better. So that's where I'm going to be putting all of my Apple barrel as of right now. You are also involved in Apple, Sharif, I see.
I did. I like this area, Derek, because it acted as a bit of a resistance level earlier at the let's say 219 and it's just, it's hard to see, 75-ish area. So we'll give this one the old community college try and see if we can work our way back above the $0.50. Or sorry, excuse me, the whole dollar, about 220. We'll see what we get there. I set up also a bit of a dip trade here on APLD. Look, this could go unfilled. It just doesn't want to have any weakness here. It showed a little bit of weakness in front of 6, but the buyers were just too dang strong to keep this one below 6, and up above we go. We almost got into the $0.25. So I'm looking, I was like, where is the resistance, or sorry, previous area of resistance should be acting as support. That 610 looked good. As good as area as any other. So I'm giving this a try here. Maybe we'll get long at 610-ish and then ride this one up a little bit, but we may not get filled on this one. SMMT just absolutely flush to the downside. We're long at 92s, it's printing 83s, but I've got like negligible shares because we already wet our beak like 3 or 4 times on this one. I want to see if it holds up here. If it does, I'm going to add, because this is an interesting area. 1970 right here. It did dip into this area and then it found support right up again. All right, so we missed that one. All right, Apple, we're printing on an Apple nicely over here, about 30 pennies in the money now. Let's go, Apple. So we wet our beak already. Now it's moving above into 220, into 220.10s. Let's see if we can get up into the $0.25. What is life without dang whimsy? So we're going to put the out there at the $0.25, knowing that that's just a random area and that the better area likely is 50 pennies, but you know, I'm not a good trader, so that's the situation there. Here comes. On APLD, sorry, I got to manage these positions, so sorry, guys, I got to flip from Apple to APLD. That's the look. It's coming off that 6.25. I want to get in right where I have it. Okay, now, if you kidding me, bro? It literally came down to my level, then popped up 10 pennies. Let's see if it breaches my level. We're going to have to breach the level to get crossed. That's the sitch. Now, I'm not going to give this just to 6. I think that's too obvious of an area. So we're on the verge of getting printed over here. We're printing 12s, which is where I'm waiting, but it hasn't crossed. Somebody's buying it up there. Now I'm filled. So now we've got to get the situation ready to get both the beak wetter and the stop. So we're going to have to go ahead and basically say, you know, 6 is as good as we're going to do on this one. We can't give it more than that. So we're going to give it to about there. So that's the sitch on that. We're already in the money on it. Already popping up. Where are we long? 12. Now it's printed 17s. Let's see if we can move up a bit more. It's nothing to write home about. All right. So that's a look there. All right. Apple's coming into that $0.25. Just printed 20s. I'm waiting at 25s, and then right back down we go into the 20 penny again. So Apple, we used to make fun of this one called the dead one. This is moving, you know, a little bit un-Apple-like. But then for some people who probably trading this in the mid 2010s, they're like, what are you talking about, bro? There has been umpteen amount of algos that trade this, and it was a volatile name. Yeah, sure, Apple was the volatile one before Tesla. Tesla was the volatile one before NVIDIA, and each one takes its turn. So we'll see over here. When I started trading, when I got invested in it, I should say, in late summer last year, I've been holding this for a year. Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's the longest I've ever held anything, Adara, to be honest with you. So yeah, this one used to do nothing. So that was kind of my thoughts about it. All right, APLD coming right back down again. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one. We already gave it to 6, and that's the situation. We're not going to give it any more than that. SMMT. You know, we're only holding a tiny bit here. We're 2 pennies out of the money on this one. Sad I didn't add. I should have been alive more to this area, and I was. I just didn't put a dip trade there. And that area I'm talking about is 1960. Look at this area and the umpteen amount of rejections we had at 1960 until we broke through on a closing basis, and then the buyers started buying up a storm at that 1960-ish area, making that local high of 2040. So that's my look there. Nothing to write home about, Adara, but we're going to continue to watch and see what we get. Apple back into that 20 penny area. I'm just flattening out here. I don't want to wait anymore. What's your look?
Yeah, nice look on Apple there.
Thank
Like
you.
that's, I'm happy I didn't get to the short till that that area, that 219.75, because I totally agree with Sharif. That is definitely the area of support. Really pleased this punch for you,
Thank you,
in
Adair.
that long
Appreciate you.
there. Appreciate you. AVGO, we are short here, and I'm very willing to understand if this is kind of a weird area to short. I stand by it. I know I usually say no qualms. There are some qualms, but to me, the balance of the evidence supports a short. And I want to explain why. So that 138.70 area was an area I liked yesterday. I saw it in the book. I was like, right today, or not yesterday, sorry, Friday. And I was like, this looks pretty weak here. So what am I doing? I am shorting it here into 138.40s. I'll be taking out 60% of the position. Why am I doing that? Because that to me is a huge area of resistance and support. It certainly formed us some resistance earlier today. It was a resistance support level from Friday that I want to play off of. So we're going to be taking out some here. I'll be saving a piece for the dream. But if we come, let's say we have our piece for the dream, we break lower, we come back and reject again off 138.40, I am adding there. I'm risking 20 cents in this, looking to make minimum 30. I'm okay with that risk to reward principle. I've talked a lot about how mine are going to be more kind of like, as long as I'm trying to get more than I'm risking, I'm cool with that. I don't need them to math all prettily. So risking about 20 cents, looking to make 30 cents minimum. But I have no idea if this trade will work, but the thing is you never know. You're never sure if they're going to work. You have to go with your gut, within reason, with your instincts as you build them. I think that is huge. So right now, let's see if Broadcom can go to the downside, and it looks like it might want to. I'm okay getting some of this position out a bit early because I do think there's more opportunity for this trade, and I'll feel better if we de-risk before we add back in. And look at that, we can't even get 40 straight. We bounced off 45s. So I have the right level on this. I don't know if I'm going to ever get my fill. I might have to move it up a couple cents. I'm cool with that. I just want to wait and see what the Broadcom one does.
Ooh.
Also, Palantir, not one that I frequently trade. And there's no, I have traded it before, but my thing with Palantir is I usually like the names that are a little bit more expensive, a little bit spreadier, a little bit meatier. Palantir, though, can give you opportunities, and I have no issues with trading it if it sets up. With that in mind, look at this 34.40 area. We had that big wick down here, come back up. Then we get a bit of a topping tail candle, Scotia at highs of day. Now we're trying to come back down here. If we break below that 34.40 violently, I'm actually going to start a short. That is a reversion trade, which is, obviously not maybe the move with Broadcom. Shout out to Obi, who has said in the past that the mean reversion or the reversion can be quite mean. So you don't want it to be mean to you. That is for sure. But you also have to take opportunities you like. Shorts going to get wrecked here, says John. Yeah, you might be right. If someone who's in a short, you never know. You may be right. I may be crazy. But it just might be a lunatic who's looking short. I don't know. Shout out to Billy Joel. Shout out to Broadcom as well.
What song is that from?
You May Be Right by Billy Joel.
Nice, I like it.
Get
it, Adara.
Right. I don't know. Shout out to him, noted pianist. I am very much a fan. And I want to hear about how your summit climb is going over here, Sharif, as I wait for Broadcom to do something for me, 21.
We're an entire 11 pennies in the money. No, I'm kidding. We're holding the same level. We're having trouble with 20 now. I got to do the lesson coming up. I don't want to nurse this stock while I'm doing the lesson. So I don't have that many shares left on this. So I'm thinking about flattening out or, just putting in a very spready stop so that even a bottom drop could get me filled. And what I'm talking about that, you guys really need to understand this. And I really want to drive home this point. Your stop, if it's a limit order, which those are the stops that I use, there's two components to that stop. There's your trigger, which tells the computer, get me out. And there's the limit that says, get me out until this point. If the spread, well, let's call that the spread between the trigger and the limit. If that spread is too tight, let's say 5 pennies, and the stock drops lower than your limit, you won't get filled. Right? Unless you have a market order. Then the market order, with the problem with that is you can get filled anywhere, right? Depending on where, or how illiquid or how volatile the market is. Look at Summit. Good thing I didn't flatten out here, Adair. Look at this thing ascend. It's ascending the Summit. All right, so we're going to take it out here, Adair, because I don't need to keep nursing this trade. So we're gone with Summit. I'm very happy with this trade. Small cap gapper, very directional. Keep your eye on it. Hopefully we'll get back into it after the lesson. The one that I'm going to get out of as well, because I can't, this one is just too volatile and I don't want to be nursing this trade. So we'll get out over here for an entire 5 penny winner on APLD. I am now flat on all my positions out of everything, so we can start the lesson du jour. Oh, before we do, I promised somebody I would look at Reddit. So that rated 5, rated V, rated 5, shout out to them. And I told them I'd look at Reddit. The question was cup and handle forming on the 5 on Reddit. Not a bad look, my man, or whoever is on the other side of that. Let's see. Yeah, well, because it's rated, right? I mean, I have no idea. RDDT, here is the look. Let's look at that. V-shaped retracement back down. So you could obviously broaden it up. It looks like a rounded bottom, and now we're cup and handling with this being the handle and this being the cup. Obviously, we're not, artistes or anything. These are general shapes that we're trying to discern on the chart to make it easier for people to trade. But look, I like the idea. The only issue is, number one, you don't know how long the handle is going to be. So you don't know how long the consolidation area is going to be. Allow it to form. And my humble opinion is to try to get in at the lower end of the consolidation, being fully aware that that 58.50 is a high a day. You could have a problem with that level. It behooves me just to update the chart over here because it doesn't update for whatever reason unless I have it up on my watch list. So Reddit up to 2.25. We're above 58 now. Good consolidation area, my man, at this 57.75 area. With maybe a 58 range. So 57.75, 57 2/3 to 58 was the range. This candle breaks that. I'm looking at 58.50 and whether or not we can take it, but I see your point exactly. Whether it's a cup and handle or not, we'll have to wait and see, or whether it's just a V-shaped retracement going all the way up and going to break the highs, who knows? Base it off key areas where it's finding support. And I would submit to you that there's about from 12.10 to 12.30, you have a good support level at the $0.50, 2/3 of a dollar. Hope you print up a solid storm there and let me know how it goes, please. So let's do the lesson du jour, baby. We are talking about these channel lines. Essentially, what we're talking about are 2 types of trend lines, but we'll get to it in a hot second. All right, so today, we're diving into one of the most fundamental concepts in trend analysis, channel lines. These lines not only help us identify trends, but also provide us insights into the potential market reversals or continuations. So we'll break down the concept into 3 key areas. First, understanding these channel lines and their applications to both downtrends and uptrends, and the importance of a channel line break. And third and finally, early warnings, like basically an early warning sign of weakening trends and adjustments to the trend line. So we'll talk about all 3 of those concepts. So join us for the next 15 minutes or so. We'll be covering all of that. So what are channel lines? As we always do, let's start off by introducing the subject for those who are not familiar. Channel lines, also called run lines, depending on who's speaking here, are parallel lines drawn alongside the primary trend. They contain price movement essentially within a very clear boundary. Usually it's diagonally up or diagonally down. A very clear boundary during the trend, offering additional levels of insight into market behavior. The channel lines consist of 2 parts. The first line, the basic trend line. So the basic trend line connects the lows in an uptrend and the highs in a downtrend. Then there's the channel line, which is the second line here. This is drawn parallel to the trend line from a prominent peak in an uptrend or a prominent trough in a downtrend. I'll get to the details in a second. Okay? So an example, let's talk about the details of the example first, and I'll show you the example. So in an uptrend, you draw the trend line through the lows. So as we explained last week, if it's an uptrend, we're connecting the lows. If it's a downtrend, we're connecting the highs. Same situation here. That's the first line you draw. Then in a downtrend, the trend connects the highs and the parallel line runs through the first significant low. So prices often, as I kind of indicated, fluctuate between these boundaries as seen here on the next chart, the Dow Utilities. So this is a look. So this is an example. Where the hell is my Dow Utilities thing? Weird. Okay, well, I don't know where the hell it went there, but that's fine. So we'll just go with this example. All right, so in this example, as you can see, we're in an uptrend, so the main trend line connects the lows while the channel line connects the highs. That's all we really need to concern ourselves with there. And in this, it's the exact opposite. it's a downtrend. So we connect the highs with the channel line in the dotted over here, connecting the lows. So the importance of a break of this channel. So why are we drawing the channel? Because, well, we're expecting prices to stay within it. That's the assumption. What happens, though, when the price doesn't stay within one of those trend lines? Let's talk about the significant implications of such. So a break of the basic trend line, which is the connecting of the lows in an uptrend, connecting the highs in a downtrend. If you break that basic trend line, what you're looking at is the potential for reversal. However, if you break the channel line, which means that the trend is accelerating as opposed to reversing here, that typically means that the trend, is accelerating. For instance, in an uptrend, when the price clears the upper boundary, which is the channel line, the upper boundary, it's often a sign of strength, and traders might use this opportunity to add to their long positions. Conversely, a breakdown below the trend line in a downtrend signals the possible reversal to the upside. So keep that in mind. And here's an example, or this is what we want to talk about here. Sorry. I got to structure these lessons better a little bit with the images. So the long-term channel. Let's talk about the long-term channel. So something that doesn't last, 10 or 15 minutes. In a long-term channel, which I'll show you in a second for the Dow utilities, price repeatedly found resistance at that upper trend line, but also found support near the lower trend line, near that lower boundaries. Traders could have used that specific opportunity for both long-term entries and exits. And this is what I'm talking about over here. This is the Dow utilities, and this chart takes us all the way from 1970 all the way to 1995. So it's one hell of a long trend there. And as you can see, the channel line was always seemed to be respected at the extremes, whether over here where you got 4 touches to the channel line or 3 touches to the trend line. That's not the only thing that we can use these channels for. We can also use them to spot weakness in the trend. So channel lines also help traders identify when the trend is weakening. One of the early signs of a possible reversal is when the price fails to reach the upper end of the channel or the lower end, depending where the channel line is. And here's an example. So we're chugging along. The trend looks like it's intact. 1 and 3 both get up to the channel line, but 0.5 too weak. Couldn't make it all the way back up into that channel. The fact that we created a crest below the channel line should put us on the warning for a trend line break. We know because this is an uptrend, the trend line is going to be connecting the lows. And look what happens over here. You get 0.6 and it's a break of that trend line. So we could have also been on the lookout for a possible double top and looking for the break of 0.4 to confirm the break of that double top. Failure to reach. And this is, failure to reach the upper, what's going on here, man? Sorry, guys, give me a second here. Adjusting the trend line. Can you take over?
Yeah, I was going to say, I can take over. Yeah, for sure. I am still looking at Apple, still looking at NVIDIA. I got out of Broadcom because it broke above my level. Good exit, happy with that. Not a winning trade here. We did have some earlier. I am, though, also looking at GME. I know I said I was trying to avoid looking at GME, and honestly, that definitely just came from a place of fear. I want to short GME here if it gets 2460s, and like I like what I see. Try to see if I can get some shorts on this. I want to clarify as well, I'll go either direction. I just like the fact that we held this. We pop above. We can't really hold it. I think you have at least until 2430s. I think if you take that with size, it's not bad at all, and you risk appropriately. Bless you. I would probably be risking, as of right now, risking 10 cents, trying to make minimum 30. We'll have to see what happens, though. It is GameStop. You don't want to give it a little bit of room to play, but we also want to give a little bit of room to reach that upper trend line.
Thank you for that, Adair. So in the example we just showed, which was this one over here, so this is what the example we want to talk about, the failure to reach the upper trend line. So in the example that we just showed, 0.5 right there failed to touch the upper boundary. This failure is often an early warning, essentially, that the trend is losing momentum. The failure for 5 to come up over here. Following this, as you can see, the price breaks the trend line, which we know is the solid line on the chart, confirming the trend reversal. When the price repeatedly fails to reach the channel boundary, in this case, it's this dotted line over here, the odds of breaking this trend line to the downside are greatly increased. So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about there, and that's what this slide was about. Now let's talk about adjusting the trend line. That's what we talked about, adjusting the trend line last week. We also introduced the concept of speed lines, which are essentially adjustments of the trend line. So when the price exceeds the channel line, so we get a break of that dotted line in an uptrend, traders might adjust their trend lines to reflect the steeper trend. If the price significantly moves above that rising channel line, it typically signals to you the strengthening trend, requiring obviously adjustment of that trend line. And here's what it looks like. So we're chugging along. Point 1 makes the proper touch. Point 3 makes the proper touch. But all of a sudden, at point 4, the trend really gets going here, and we break decidedly through that dotted line right there. That's the channel line. So now we need to redraw the trend both for the lows and the highs. There's no point of sticking with that same trend. You don't need to delete the old trend lines, but you need to redraw the new ones to fit or to reflect the current price action. Don't actually remove the old trend lines because you don't know when those are going to come back in and play either a support or resistance level. So my suggestion to you is to always keep those trend lines there. So that's the look of how it looks in an uptrend. This is the exact look of what it does in a downtrend. So we're moving along. Uh-oh. Now we can't get all the way back up into the trend line. Now we got to break down. We're breaking down, below the lower line. We need to redraw the highs and the lows for both the trend line and the channel line. And just to conclude, guys, channel lines are essential tools for trend identification and analysis. They help traders visualize where the price movements might reverse or continue, and traders can use them to do things like identify the basic trend line and draw a parallel channel line so you have that channel, and then watch for potential breaks of the channel, whether to the top side or the downside, and spot failures to reach the channel line as a possible indication of when the trend might reverse. I hope everybody obviously prints up a storm, as we always do about that. Trade the pool. Is that me or is that you?
I can do it.
No, I can do it. Here it is. All right, guys. Ready to go, Ram? All right. Becoming a funded trader means trading with a firm's money instead of your own. At Trade the Pool, you first complete an evaluation by hitting profit targets while managing risk. Once you pass, you get access to up to $260,000 in buying power. You keep up to 80% of your profits while the firm covers the risk. It's a perfect way to trade big without risking your own funds. Are you ready to become a funded trader? If you are, join Trade the Pool. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Shout out to Trade the Pool. Adara.
Yeah, I gotta say, I kind of missed the 2-person ad read. That was very fun.
Way better.
Pardon?
Way better.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but shout out to Trade the Pool. Jump in that pool, check them out. Good times. Also, guys, vote, because we are brought to you by Real Trading. Shout out to them. And you guys this is the audience segment. It's for you guys. So get into the chat. Exclamation point, join, space, $, nat, ticker. Because we want to we want to know what you guys are looking at. We want to be able to have it covered by Sean and Neil. You guys take the reins. You can have some confidence there, some Neilage. Get put on that, because don't you guys like that? It's a great opportunity. We definitely recommend it there for you guys to get involved. Palantir.
Palantir.
Yeah, I was going to say it's pretty Palantir to me why I like this short, but I want to explain because I know it is basically at high of days. I got short this. I risked it into 34.46s, which is like 6-cent risk. I know, very specific, not a lot. Why I like this trade, though, was because that, and again, I don't know if you could see it. So, yeah, you can, I guess. So look at how we kind of had this push up, and then we were holding that 40 area, kept leaking into it. I said if we break below it, I think there could be some downside. We've peeked our head into that 39.45 area, but we haven't, or sorry, 34.45 area, but we haven't really done so in any salient way. I'll be adding if we get into the 30s, just because I think, you know, this 10-cent level, some of these wicks as well. I want to see what we do as we get to that 30-cent level. I was getting 5 cents, looking to make a heck of a lot more. I'm actually willing to start piecing out as we head into 34s. Even, I have no idea if that'll happen. The thing with trades is you can never be quite sure. You just have to follow your plan and risk accordingly. With this Broadcom, I realized while I was in that, I was like, hey, I don't actually know if I'm going to be able to get all that I wanted in this trade, because I was like, I'm in this. We can't even get to my area, which would take out part of my position, 38.40s. But I said, Adara, wait, stick to the plan. Stuck to the plan, got stopped out. I'm trying not to run out of things too early, unless it's like a situation where you're well in the money and you're just trusting your read on the book. And I'm mostly going to do that for those spreadier, more expensive stocks. The Lulus, the Lilies, there's the other one, the SMCIs. Those are going to be the stocks where I do more of that type of style. Palantir just kind of dripping to the downside, willing to add into this trade. As I said, if we get into the 30s, I do want to be a little bit aggressive with the Palantired one, because I think it's pretty Palantir. If this breaks down, like, look at how much we've been bidding up. We've been bidding up all darn day. Shout out to Sean and his hat. He was as green as his Palantir hat on that trade. And his hat is green, in case you didn't know. But I think, right now the reversions can hit. I'm trying to become a bit of a reversion trader. I would say that's a little bit of my playbook. So trying to kind of increase that by taking those reps. I like this look on PLTR. Let's see if it gives us the smoke to which we so desire. I don't have any entries on anything else I was looking at. AAPL, which I just spelled very incorrectly there. AAOK is, I think, what I spelled. AAPL, I don't know what happened to my chart there. I apologize. This one continuing to kind of push higher. When I showed Sharif's awesome long there in AAPL, he took a cool 30 cents. I still like it as a short if it breaks below 219.75, but it hasn't. Apple has stayed incredibly strong. We're going to give you guys all of the smoke from that event, which is coming in just 9 minutes and 55 seconds. So we will let you know exactly what is going on there. No auctions that I was aware of. I'm going to double check that I'm correct about that. I think we had some at 3:30 or 11:30, but I did, no auctions at 1. So we're good there. We're going to be waiting to see what occurs. I want to show you Sharif is always putting together the lesson. AAPL is trying to get to $220.50. That's also a previous resistance area. That could be a nice look. Palantir trying to drip here. I don't want to Alex Karp on that trade too much, so I'll let it be. But I do like that look. NVIDIA and Tesla both kind of chilling. Those are other two names I liked. Tesla, I watched that push into 218. That bounce off that, what is this? This 217.55, 50 area. That was wild. This is a wild bounce. There are buyers here. This one, much like Apple, coming into a bit of a previous resistance or support area that could form as resistance. In Apple's case, like I said, 220.50. In Tesla's, 218.40. Let's see what happens there. Palantir looks like it might want me to add because it's dripping near that 34 area. Like I said, this is a more aggressive position size. But, I believe in this trade. I want to see that thing drop. Shout out to Jack Harlow. Let's see if we can get this thing any lower for the PLTR one. If you believe in trades, regardless, if the trade makes sense to you, if it's part of your playbook, the setup makes sense, get involved. I don't usually like trading this many tickers. This is generally, like I said, I've been trying to cut down on my amount of tickers traded. But if setup's set up, you must, do have the commitment. I'm going to be risking this into 34.40s once I add. And as I said, I will add if we break below 34.30s, which we are maybe trying to do right now. We'll wait. We'll see. And guys, definitely let us know in the chat what tickers you're looking at. You can vote. SPY and Q still pushing higher today. What a journey there for those two indices. Definitely like Black Monday. Who? Adara wore red on Friday. What? We're going to keep pushing higher. Also, guys, I do have green as well. There was that time I wore green and the market had its best day in 2 years, because I know there were some comments like, oh, Adara's bringing the market down with her outfits. I brought it up with my outfits too. It's very weird. It's bizarre. I don't understand it. I promise there is no, fun finagling. It would be a fun ETF if someone suggested, but yeah, that's all it is. Just some nice fun there. PLTR, I'm likely going to add here 8 minutes until it becomes glow time with that Apple event.
What a weird name.
Legally what it's named.
Do we know why they called it Adara?
I was saying earlier to someone, I said, if the phones don't glow, I'm going to be really disappointed in that name. It's going to feel like some false advertising there, Sharif, in my humble opinion. But we'll see. What's
that stuff that used to glow back in World War II that they put in those watches that was highly radioactive?
I think maybe.
Do you remember? You know what I'm talking? Radium.
Radium.
Was it radium? I think it's radium. Yeah, I think you're right, Ram. Yeah. Well, maybe there'll be some radium in the phones there. SMMT, guys. Yeah, this is the situation, Ram, on SMMT. I had a feeling this one would go, and I honestly would have held it. We didn't have to do the lesson, but yeah, there it goes, man. There it goes. Topping tail through 21. It did get the 21 exactly in a third. It actually got to 34, so not exactly. I'm watching to see if it does support at 21, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen now. Now we're looking at the support level over here that it comes down to. So just topping tailed quite aggressively. Now, does it come back into the 10 exponential, which it's had a whole lot of respect for? on the 5-minute. As you can see, there's only like a couple of touches here at the 20, but I don't want to get it off these random levels. What I'd rather is see what a price action level that it had support at, and that 50 penny area is interesting. Now, that 50 penny area also happens to be the 10 exponential on the 5, but that's just a coincidence. So I'm keeping my eye on this one. It did find resistance lower than where it had found it originally. 21.50 was the high. This time around, we're able to get up to 21.34, as I said. So that third of a dollar being operative here. Now we're down into the $0.75 of a dollar. I'm not going to punch long here. I don't need to. I'd rather wait for it to prove that, or getting it on the back end, as my friend Neil likes to say. We'll see if it does or it doesn't. APLD also coming off that 6.25 high, coming into 6. Hasn't failed 6 yet. It's at the door. So this one could be this one could also be another one that finds support at a key level. I would submit to you 6 was very key on APLD, or it could get a bit of a deeper retracement. 593 is where the 20 exponential is hanging out. And then we have a bit of a chasm between the 20 and VWAP. Look at the distance between 20 and VWAP and the distance between the 10 and the 20. So you have a bit of a gap there that you're going to have to wait for, because I'm not going to be getting it anywhere in between this 593 and 560. That to me is no man's land, and I want no part of it. We'll see though, does it hold up above 6? Bottoming tilt quickly right there through 6. Price action currently holding at 6, but we can consolidate. It doesn't have to be a break to the high or the low either way. It can be a consolidation. That's also an acceptable result, or a possible result, I should say. So APLD, very interesting as well. LASE as well, Ram. And this one, I was kind of disrespecting this one, given its volume was kind of poop and the range per candle was just far too wide for my liking. It did a little bit of a move there from $6, which is the closing print on Friday, up into almost 7.5, 744. And now it's coming into a key area. Volume weighted average price, a little bit below 6.75. You can see it also found it has price action support right at the level where we're holding right now. So we get that 678 bottom on both this candle here at 1245 and 1250. But look at the candle over here at 1135. It also found that exact same bottom that we're holding right now. That's 677. 678. So we'll keep an eye on LASE. If I was to trade this one, it would be for smaller share size, because it just drops off. And getting out of this can be a problem. The spread is a problem. The volume is a problem. The chart pattern looks okay. But that's the only thing really keeping it on my side chart over here. LASE, decent look. PLTR, bruh. This one just has, so why does this keep getting up there? At 34.5, though, it seems like it had resistance at 34.5. I thought you were talking
34. I'm short. That's why I'm like.
Yeah, I think you're bang on with that.
Thank you.
34.5. Great look there. I didn't even notice you were short there. 34.5 at PLTR, and now it's breaking below the 10. It looks like it's on its way down to the 20. I love this to 34.10. So I think we'll see. I don't know where you're looking to hold, and I don't want to say any levels that may not conflate with your levels, but I see basically this area crest at around 1030 that found its area of resistance at 34.10, a skosh above 34. So I think this is a great short, but obviously a very strong name on the day. Yeah, we'll see if this one maybe can even work down to VWAP, man, 33.70. So we'll have to give this one a look a little bit later on. TERN, I've had this on here, and I apologize, has been taking up room on the chart, but it was strong earlier. It seemed to have a bit of a top there at $10. I haven't really been talking about TERN or SINT all that much because they've done bupkis. All right, APLD Adara is coming back down into that 20 exponential, so it is giving way at 6.4 now. I'm all eyes and ears, baby. If you want to hold up at the 20 exponential and put some respect on that moving average, I'll go long for another 6.25 touch, but I will not touch this stock between where it's trading now if it doesn't hold up here, and then all the way down into 5, almost in 2/3, a little bit ahead of that, where the volume weighted average price hanging out. It's a bit of a chasm there on my chart there.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to that. I know you're all up in the small cap gappers. There are quite a lot of them, so nice look there. Shout out to you, Sharif. Also, yeah, it's funny. You were mentioning that 34.10. I had already actually set an order here to get out about a fifth of the position at 34.11. So we were definitely thinking the same thing. That order has been sitting there. This is the largest position I've ever taken live. I feel really good about this trade. I would feel a lot better about this trade should we break below 34.24. This line I drew. Why? Because this was definitely, I have the 1 minute open because that's generally how I do my stops. But if you see it on the 5 minute here, on the 1 minute, I think you would see it as well. Resistance, support. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take out a fifth of the position here as well because I just don't necessarily love this level. We're going to take out some there. We're going to save. We're still going to have enough. I definitely stacked into this trade. So I'm really pleased this punch. To be clear, I took this with size because I believed in it. I'm risking it appropriately. So I'm cool with that. That's one thing I've learned, and I also want to shout out, the whole risk unit system because when you do this, it really helps you realize, you don't think about, you could take more size when you're like, oh, it's just a portion of my risk. You'll take more size because you're realizing you're not risking that much. You're thinking things more in terms of their value and overall, and I'm going to stop waxing poetic on that. Okay. But yeah, that's what you do there. Let's see what happens here. I want to see what we do as we get into 34.35s. I will get out flat. I'm cool with that. At this point, but I think it's obvious there is some support there at the this level, that thing, the 34.24. Obviously some support. Probably should have gotten out ahead of that. Look, we wick into 34.35 and we come right back down. I'm watching the interactions at this level because Sharif,
yes, Adara,
this will be a key level for me. It is my average, but it's also a bit of a prior bar level here on the 3 minute, forming some support. I'm watching the book. I'm waiting. I'm scheming. I'm plotting. I'm scheming. I'm hoping to get some money here. Shout out to Drake's for this thing. Look at that. We're glowing. Are we glowing? We'll find out here. Shout out to Glow Time. It will be go time for Glow Time very soon. It'll also be go time for me in this Palantir trade. It happened. We tried it. It was fun while it lasted. Like I said, happy. I'm getting comfortable taking more share size for trades I believe in when I'm risking appropriately. Wish I had taken some out, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. Ready for new opportunities in these market every single day.
Dan, the dang man, Emmons letting me know that the Apple event is starting. Oh, baby, it's already jamming up in my ear over here. It's a party up at... Hold on, how come you have ahead of mine? Oh, man, this thing sucks, bro. I don't understand. You have to watch it on apple.com, otherwise you're a schmuck like me. Yeah, I know. I'm watching it on YouTube. It is a bit delayed. There we go. Now we have a lovely young lady that's tying her shoe. Oh, and it's the feature hand or the fingerless or finger gestures on the Apple Watch, which we already know was a gimmick from last time as well. So shout out to that. I think they're talking about some accessibility stuff now. We'll have to see exactly what's going on. But the Apple event has now started. So obviously, we haven't announced anything on Apple, but I know how these algos work, baby. As soon as that Apple event starts, they're going to be in high gear. Let's keep an eye on AAPL here, Ram, as we're going to keep an eye on the price action. Obviously, nothing has happened quite yet. Nobody's speaking, but we'll keep an eye, obviously, on the Apple event. For anybody who's, just wondering what these events do to the stock price, most of the time, there is no hard and fast rules that says this has to happen every time. But most of the time, it is a sell the news event where, people await the event itself. The price runs up in the days and weeks and months prior. And then it's a kind of a sell the news. Now, depending on how well it's received by the market subsequent to the event in the days and the weeks subsequent, it's either digested well by the market or not digested well, and the price action will reflect that as the buying committees with these hedge funds, with these bigger money, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, whatever you want to call them, or whichever category of fund, they make the decisions on whether to buy or sell the stock. So, typically a sell the news event, but no hard and fast rule that says it has to be that way. So we'll keep an eye on it. Apple definitely locked within a range, Ram, and as it has been all afternoon, it has been hovering south of that closing print on Friday. That closing print, $220 and around 75 cents, 80 cents, something in that vicinity. Doesn't really matter. It's a $220 name. So we're not going to argue over a couple pennies, but that's where the look is right now on Apple, and it has been below that level. So it has been negative on the day, down a third. Oh, now we're getting into the Cupertino facility. Shout out. Oh, here comes Timmy. Come on, Timmy. Give it to us straight, Timmy. can't hear obviously anything he's saying.
He's talking. I'm hearing him.
You got him on the Apple event, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So Adara will cover that for you guys.
I will. He's just talking. It's clearly pre-filmed. He's under a rainbow. He's saying, talking about what they're gonna do.
It's nice.
Also, I love how they they panned the camera through the Apple facility. Those Apple camera people are dope. So good job for them. Also, we're just waiting for that. I will be giving you guys the lesson in a little bit while I'm also giving you guys this Apple event. Apple's dropping though.
Yep.
He's not really saying much. He's just talking about Apple Intelligence. It seems like right so far a recap, a rehashing, if you will, of what was said at that Apple AI event way back when. When I say way back when, I mean like WWDC. So Apple reclaiming that 220 level just as quickly as it gave it up. Also, I am back in the Palantir short here as we continue to have some issues at 34th. This was that level. 34.40. I'm risking to 34.50. So we'll see how that goes. Apple on watch here for sure. Sorry, guys, I know I speak a little bit quickly, but these markets move fast. I got Tim Cook in my ear. I got charts on my radar. So trying to keep everything involved. Apologies for that. Let's see what happens here on PLTR. Let's see what happens in Apple. And what else are we looking at? This market, but also whatever tickers you guys are looking at. Exclamation point, join, base, $, whatever ticker. Bruce and Base saying, Tim will just mention AI 16 times. That's pretty funny, like Apple AI, iPhone 16. It reminds me of that event where Sunder Peach I was like, oh, we used Gemini to count how many times we said AI during this presentation. And it was some obscene number. So, shout out to Gemini. Shout out to Sharice there. All the Gemini, that face.
it's fallen out of favor with me, Adara. Look, I've given it many opportunities, Adara. Gemini is what I'm talking about, the Google AI there. And I got to tell you, the more I use it as of late, the more I don't like it. I've been switching a lot more to ChatGPT. That's not an endorsement one way or another. I'm just letting you know, honestly, the situation. I'm long again in someone here. Eric, can I send it to you while I put my stocks?
Absolutely, yeah. I just wanted to talk about that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, so Palantir here, we're watching, we're waiting. I don't know if this trade's gonna work out, you never know. But I like that breakdown below here. Risking, again, with the risk unit, an appropriate amount for me. So I'm cool with that. That is for sure. What else is for sure is Tesla actually curling down a little bit. I said that 218.30. I said that area could be kind of interesting. Look where we rejected. If we break below 218, that could maybe not be a bad idea. I don't want to trade too many things though, especially because we do have that lesson coming up and I'm going to be delivering those hotlines for you. That is for sure. We're going to probably get into Palantir here as we push above into that 34.50 area because I do not want to be involved in Apple or Palantir. I don't even know what stock I'm in now. Great times. I want to be involved in Palantir as it makes a new day's high. That is not the vibe. We got out there as it pushed near into 50s. Maybe that was premature. I managed the trade. It's all good there, baby. What else is going on? Apple moving. People saying, honestly, if Apple pushes above that $220.50 level, that to me will be huge. Like I said, that level was definitely some resistance earlier, and then we kind of resisted it again, support earlier, flip to resistance. Let's see what happens here if we're able to pop up above that level. Q still strong. SPY though, a little bit of a, bit of a rounded top, which is also why I like the Palantir short where I did. With that rounded top on the S&P 500. Let's see what's going on here if I can pull that up. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, topping tail candle, like 5 or 6 topping tail candles straight, racks on that SPY. So let's see SPY curls to the downside. That being said, we did just have a bit of a push down to support as well.
Do you remember that song, Adara? Racks on racks. Rack
City too.
Yes,
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that trade. Would you like to talk about that trade?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Adara, for giving me the opportunity. This is the level that we were talking about, this $20.40 area, $20.50 area on SMMT. It was a long period of resistance there. So I said, look, man, if we come back into that area, I'm going long. I did that. I got in. Where did I get in? 53s. We just printed 80s. I'd love a 2090 touch. The reason, kind of a random area to want to wet my beak, but that's the look. There was a lot of, resistance. Let's call it that. A lot of chop. That's the better word at 2090 because we were breaking through 2090 on our way to 21, but the closing prints all held up at 90 or in the low 90s. So if we weasel up into there, I'm going to look to wet my beak and get out of the remaining amount. I'm seeing 78 show up here on the ask. Good look for SMMT. I don't want to say it's been predictable because the second I say that, it's going to flush. But it's given you levels off which you could try to base trades. Whether those trades ended up manifesting or not is really going to come down to a little bit of luck. But you can put the odds on your side by getting in at key levels. I guess really that's what I'm trying to say. And so we're going to wait to see if we can get a breach of that 2090 area. We're showing 75 now on the ask. As we were showing 80s on the ask prior to that. So a bit of resistance right now on SMMT. I'm keeping my eye right now on Apple. They're still talking about the Apple Watch. It's the Series 10. They're talking about deep gloss. They're talking about new colors. That ain't gonna move. That ain't gonna move the needle for me. But I'm very excited. Look, I like the Apple Watch. I have beef with the Apple Watch. I know Adara likes it as well. She's got one on. She wouldn't have one on if she didn't like it. My beef with the Apple Watch is it drops my heart rate constantly when I'm in strenuous physical activity. Bang on SMMT. Very happy with this trade. Now, if it's going to drop my heart rate, that means the data coming in is bogus, right? And so, say that again, Adara. Raymer? Get a Garmin. But it doesn't work with the ecosystem, right? That's the thing. But yeah, Brendo's told me the same thing too. Shout out to Ram. I'd like to see some improvements in some of the basic features. Stop telling me about all this new stuff you want to add. Get the stuff you already have in the watch right. And this is the 6. It's not like it's exactly ancient. It's from 2022. And, you know, by then you should have been able to get the heart rate thing done. And they haven't. They haven't. And people that have watches after that, even the Apple Watch Pro does the same nonsense with certain people. So if you're going to tell people that they can monitor or exercise on it, you got to do it better. So we'll see whether or not that's addressed or they even talk about that. Look at SMMT, man. I suck as a dang trader. This thing is on the way up. I wet my beak at 80, and now it just broke into 2110. This thing is on the way up 70 some odd %. It has a high short float. It is not a small cap gapper. It's a 13 billion some odd dollar company, but it's moving like a dang small cap gapper, and it's given me lots of opportunities to get into it. I'm happy with this trade.
I'm very happy for you. Please just punch with that trade. I had a brief Tesla short here, like that 218 level. I talked about this. Tried the short, didn't work out, got stopped out. Would have got another 50 pennies against me, so happy with the management. Whereas the next trade, I have no idea, Sharif, but what I do know is we're going to talk about channel lines. I have the Apple man yapping, and he's yapping in my ear, so I'll let you guys know if there's anything of note being said there. I will hit you up. So let's talk here about, though, channel lines. Shout out to John J. Murphy, JJM, long JJM, no, I'm joking. But so we're going to be diving into one of the fundamental concepts in trend analysis, which is called channel lines. And these lines don't only help us identify trends, but they also help us provide insight into the potential market reversals or continuation. So we're going to talk about this concept through 3 key areas. One of them is going to be understanding channel lines and how to apply them in uptrends and downtrends. Also, we'll talk about the importance of channel breaks and also the early warnings of weakening trends and the adjustment to the trend lines. What are channel lines? They're also called return lines, and they're basically parallel lines drawn alongside the primary trend line. They contain price movement within a clear boundary during a trend, which gives you another level of insight into the market behavior. They consist of the basic trend line, which connects the lows in an uptrend and the highs in a downtrend, and the channel line, which you draw parallel to the trend line from a prominent peak for an uptrend or a significant low or a downtrend. So here's some examples here. So in an uptrend, you're going to draw the trend line through the lows, then draw a parallel line through the first significant peak. In a downtrend, you're going to connect the trend line through the highs, and the parallel will run through the first significant low. You'll often have prices fluctuate between these boundaries, maybe some ranging, and you're going to see sometimes that these channels will be fluctuating for years. So you've got here your basic uptrend line drawn here below points 1 and 3, channel or return line, and the dotted line can be projected here from the first peak. So you've got kind of here all of your little trend channels in between your lines. So I think that's a pretty interesting look there. You can kind of see how this trend necessarily manifests. Here's a downtrend too. So you've got the channel projected downward from the first low. That's at point 2 here, parallel to the downtrend line along the 1 and 3 peaks. So that's pretty huge. You're often having prices remaining as such throughout a channel. As we know in the market, not everything's guaranteed, not everything's going to manifest, but sometimes it can. And so that's why it's important to know these know about this in the event that we do have that manifestation of those channels. So why are these breaks important? Because breaking a channel line can have really significant implications. A break of the trend line can signal a potential reversal, whereas the break of the channel line typically means that the existing trend is accelerating, it's moving a little bit faster. Shout out to speed lines, which we talked about last week. So for example, in an uptrend, when prices clear the upper boundary of the channel, it's often a sign of strength. So you've broken above that previous area of resistance. Where do we go from here? No one knows. Well, you'll find out. Traders can use this breakout as an opportunity to add to long positions. But a break below the trend line in a downtrend can signal a possible reversal to the upside.
Trading.
What about a longer term channel? So in a longer term channel, you'll usually have prices repeatedly finding resistance near the upper boundary and then support near the lower boundary. And traders could have used these boundaries for upper and long-term entries. So here's an example here, right? You've got support here, boundary, 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 resistance, boundary, boundary, boundary. This is a live chart. This isn't in the wild chart. You know what I mean? So it really shows you these patterns. They're not just us yapping about them. They do manifest in real time, and it is for real. So the key takeaway here is that channel lines can give you some, provide reliable entry and exit points, and breaking out of these lines can signal a shift or an acceleration in the trend depending on how it goes. So let's talk here about spotting trend weakness. So channel lines will also help traders identify when a trend is weakening. We talked about how they're strengthening. What about weakening? So one of an earlier sign of a potential reversal here is when you've got a price failing to reach the upper end of the channel. So look at that. Support, 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 upper channel line. You got your 1 meets, 3 meets, 4 bounces, but then 5 cannot reach. And then we break below. So that could be a good sign if you're looking for a short, kind of flat bottom breaky, if you will, but in a bit of a channel, so it's a bit different. But either way, you know that's a little bit weaker. Excuse me. Let's talk here about failure to reach the upper channel line, because we're going to talk here about an example where you've got your price failing to reach your upper boundary, which is often a warning sign the trend is losing momentum. Then you've got the price breaking the basic uptrend line, which confirms your reversal, which you kind of talked about there. Let's talk about adjusting the trend line. So if you've got prices exceeding the channel line, traders might adjust their trend lines to reflect a steeper trend. And if prices move below or beyond a rising channel, that typically signals a strengthening trend, which might make you need to adjust the trend line. That's where speed lines come in, right? You've got to move that trend. You have your uptrend, but then you've got a big spike up. You're like, okay, my trend line moved. You got to make that adjustment. So you've got to be willing to adjust trend lines. The market is, cruel mistress. The market will move at will, and your trend line should move at will as well to reflect the trend. Because if your trend lines aren't reflecting the trend, what are they doing? I don't know. I really don't know. So shout out to trend lines. To conclude here, guys, channel lines are basically going to be an essential tool for trend identification and analysis, helping traders to identify where price movements might reverse or continue. What you want to do is identify the basic trend line and draw the parallel channel line. Then you want to watch for potential breaks of these lines for trend reversals and accelerations, and you also want to look for failures to reach the channel line as early warnings of weakening trends. Thank you, Sharif, for putting together this lesson.
Of course.
And thank you to all of you for voting for your favorite ticker. Get into that chat. You go exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers are fancy. We want to know what makes you tick today. What ticker has got up all in your grill and has you questioning life? We want to know what you're looking at here. It is an audience segment brought to you by Real Trading. There is Real Trading. Whatever you really traded or really considering trading or really want to know more about, want some confidence, some knowledge on that, let us know in the chat. That's what we're here for, here to help you do. I'm not involved in anything right now, just waiting for some opportunities as of this juncture. Sharif, how are you doing over there?
I'm listening to the Apple event. The VP of Health is talking about some of the new features being added to the Apple Watch here. The one that's standing out for me is sleep apnea. That is an affliction my mother suffers from. My sister was able to diagnose her with that, despite the fact that she went to umpteen amount of sleep clinics. She still has that issue. So I'm assuming that, if there's a lot of undiagnosed people, this looks to be kind of the new ad. That's the new thing that I've seen so far from them. They were talking about, health changes, atrial fibrillation, stuff like that. I think aside from the AFib thing, I think everything else that they talked about was already included in noticing that you've changed some of your health patterns. It did break through, albeit very momentarily, that closing print from Friday. It did weasel up into 2290. We know the closing print's right at 80 or thereabouts. So we're basically break even on the dead one at the moment right now. But it is an uptrend. like it or not, you know, the sell the news event or whatever, it has been putting an uptrend exactly since 11 o'clock. That's when it looked like some sort of buy program got turned on because it hasn't printed a lower low, since that time. So it's been, well, it has, but it's been very directional. Just put it that way. So we'll see exactly what it does with this level. This is an important level, break even on the day. And yeah, we'll keep tabs on that. I was also looking at some of the AI features or listening to some of the new AI features. Looks like it's going to have translation now on the watch. This is important because we've been talking about moving some of these AI features into the wearables, whether it's the AirPods or whether it's your watch or any future glasses that they have to incorporate AI into your everyday regular use. Because right now, some of the use case scenarios are unimpressing. Some people, like, it's like, okay, I can do this through Firefly, I can do this through this, and now Apple's kind of consolidating all that into one phone, but nothing really novel, or nothing genuinely new. All stuff we've got elsewhere, just incorporating into one device. So I want to see more stuff that's actually novel, that's actually new, that's actually Apple created. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case or not. TX Jet fan, I'm assuming you're a Texas Jet fan, which is interesting. I watch Bills playoffs games to fall asleep. Why would you say that? You're just trolling Neil, aren't you? That's mean. Even I wouldn't say that. So shout out to you. That's mean. Anyway, no, I think the Bills had a hell of a second half yesterday. It's just, why do they always have to start the first half like that? That's the way that it is. First game, there's going to be growing pains for everybody. And I didn't even talk about my boys yesterday. I haven't said anything about my boys. We're just going to keep that one silent for a little bit here, Dara. Pretty Panda, APLD wants to break higher, watching mid-20s. I do agree with you, man, because SMMT has broken down now below the 10 and the 20 Ram. So for me, I ain't trading SMMT, and it gave way at 20 as well. So I don't feel as bad for getting out there. Maybe I didn't get top wick, but I didn't get rinsed on this way down. Now, keep in mind, this 1960 on SMMT, still a level. 1950, 1960, that was a level that we originally got into. Now, APLD, I don't think you're wrong, man. 625 HOD holds up the 20 beautifully, but it does breach 6. So could have bamboozled some people, myself included, because I was looking for a hold up at 6. But it does hold up on a closing print basis at the 20 exponential on the 5, right back above that 6. And now we're knocking on the door of that high a day that we had a triple top, quadruple top, whatever, at 6 1/4. Now we're at 6 1/5, even a bit higher than that. So very good day for APLD. Let's put some respect on this one's name, 36% and change. Texas Jet fan wants NVIDIA will break high a day. Yeah, I'll look at that in a hot second, but I'm looking at APLD because it is at high a day and it wants to take, I think you're right, Pretty Panda. There is the new high a day on APLD, albeit by 1 penny, but it is still going. So good luck there. Keeping an eye on GPS updates right now being talked about on the Apple event. They're talking about upgrading some of the GPS stuff on some of the watches. I think specifically they're talking about the Pro. What is it called? The Apple Watch Pro, yeah. The Pro. Right now they're just showing pictures of the Pro, so this is all Pro-specific stuff. Yeah, not much for me to do at the moment over here. Look at Apple, still rejecting Ram off that closing print from yesterday, but was able to work in quite close to that $21. We'll have to, I'm not going to trade Apple, I got to tell you. I'm leaving it unless it really gets parabolic because I don't know what to expect here. It can breach any sort of lines or whatever. One thing that we didn't talk about at all is that we're up on the future nicely here. 1 1/3%. We broke through the IB high, but we're not by it by that much. Shout out to Dan, the Dang Man Emmons. I'd like your look on this, Dan. It's 18,720 was that IB high that we printed right at 1010. Now we're up there at 18,730, but we're not up by that much. But we're doing these bottoming tails into the 10 exponential on the 5, showing that there's buyers, and we're defending 18.7. So what's your look, Dan? You think we run up a little bit here, wiffle and waffle, or do we give back 18.7? Tag me in the chat, brother. Let me know what your look is. Where's Big Smile? Come on, Big Smile. Where are you at, bro? I want to show some of the pictures that Big Smile sent me today. I'm going to load them up on the gram over here because these are just too good not to show it there. The man is a fisherman extraordinaire, And he caught a whole bunch of fishes on the weekend. So we got to show these bad boys over here. I'm trying to find them, but the spiled one doesn't make it easy to find. Oh yeah, can't find them. I don't know why. All right, show me to you in a second. But anyway, the unsupported messages the app is saying. Okay, so for whatever reason, they show up on my phone, but not on the computer. What's your look over there, Daryl?
Yeah, they're playing some weird music on the Apple event there. It's like, people keep talking outside. I got into an NVIDIA short here. I want to clarify, I am aware NVIDIA, you know, could fly. I don't want to be like, you know, all persnickety. I know it's NVIDIA. But the reason I like it as a short here, and the reason we're going to take out, what is this, like 40% of the position if we get to this previous area of support resistance. I like it as a short because I was watching us at that 106.10. We held that level. We held it beautifully, right? Look at all these topping tail candles, though. We broke below that level. I'm risking into 106.10s. I'm risking 10 cents. I'm getting out my first piece here, 20 cents in the money. There's already 2-to-1 risk to reward. And you know what, Sharif? I just want more smoke.
Bang.
I want to be taking out even more here if we get to 65s.
I like that, Daryl.
I would thank you. I appreciate that. I'd like to see what we do as we get into this area here, that 105.30s. Like, I am fully aware that this is a bit of a counter trend move, but the Q, in my opinion, I know the SPY. I've talked about that rounding top on the SPY. The Q, to be fair, we do have some topping tail candles here. Getting near that previous high of day. That is very valid. A little bit of a bullish look. But the other thing, I meant to say more about the Qs. The other thing with the Qs, though, is we have a bit of lower highs and we have some topping tail candles. It looks like kind of similar to the SPY, a bit of a curvature. Curvilinear, shout out to John J. Murphy to the downside. So I do want to be involved in this name. If you look, again, I keep saying this, but you have to take trades that make sense to you. You have to have the confidence, the confidera. Shout out to Darwin in the chat, whatever you want to call it. You have to have that belief in your trades because no one will believe in them for you. I was looking at Palantir as well, around 34.40, but I did not believe in that enough to try a third pop of that name. Again, not like we like horribly lost out. We managed them appropriately, but it doesn't make sense to keep going after a trade that isn't really setting up when there are opportunities that are. That 106, the other thing that I like about as well, about that 106.10 level in NVIDIA is look at that previous area of rejection. We closed there. We never close there once we come back, Sharif. We only wick. In my opinion, as much as we had that beautiful move back up, that is a lower high. So we'll see what happens here on N to the V to the D to the A. Hopefully we're saying that in the trade right now. We're just kind of waiting. Holding 105.90s. If we break below that, I'll feel even better about this trade. I'll also feel better if we keep pushing lower here on those Qs. Another Meg 7 that I've been looking at that I have been trading is going to be Tesla. Tesla below the 90 EMA, Tesla at 218, Tesla topping tail candling, Tesla a short. Potentially, I don't have like my favorite kind of risk. I don't have a risk level I love on this yet. That works with my kind of risk to reward principle. So we'll wait and see here. Potentially starting a small position and risking into 25, so 218, 25s. That would probably be the way I did it. Should I do it? But right now, I'm a little bit focused on my N to the V to the D to the A. What other tickers are people looking at here? NEO might lag again, someone's saying here. Let's take a look at NEO. Yeah, NEO, I know Neil, shout out to Neil, was saying that NEO was pretty strong here earlier. Up about 10, almost 11%. Wow.
Serious?
That thing got super...
Wow.
Okay, This is a dope look. I would say as long as you kind of stay above that 552 level, which is that level we closed at earlier, then we wicked into, I think that's a pretty good look. NIO, what about talk about a bull flag? We usually say, like, you know, you can maybe measure the breakout from the bull flag based on the length of the flag. So we started here, what is this, we'll say 490s, we started the bull flag, and you're at 425s. That gives you 35 cents of room. NEO basically gave you that here, just shy of that, completing that move. We'll complete that move if we break into 560. So great look here for NIO. Beautiful bull flag. I'm going to be babysitting my NVDA right now, but you're looking at the AAPL.
I'm looking at Apple, and now we're talking about the AirPods. So we're done with the watch. Oh my God, we have a new color for the Apple Watch. I can't believe it. It's too exciting. Now we're going to start talking about the AirPods Pro and the AirPods. What I'm looking to hear from this is what kind of, if at all, any AI they put in with the AirPods. For example, I mean, if I can just tap my AirPod, talk to Siri, and have the AI be able to read the response into me, for example, or whatever, you know, anything AI related that kind of is usable on the wearables. We already saw a little bit with the introduction to the Apple Watch. Sure, there's some AI stuff there. I got to tell you, personally, I thought it was underwhelming. But now let's see exactly what we get with the headset wearables. So we got Kate Bergeron. Maybe she's Canadian. Bergeron isn't that kind of a Quebecois name?
A little, maybe?
Not really?
Not
Okay.
one that I'm familiar with.
Sure. So she's on right now talking to us about the AirPods, so we'll keep an eye on that. Apple is still below the closing print from Friday, but it is putting an uptrend. I mean, the lows are certainly higher, but you're not getting any parabolic moves, nor did I expect any parabolic moves. So I've got nothing on AAPL here, but I got to tell you that SMMT just came into the volume weighted average price and is putting in an inverse hammer candle or a bottoming tail candle, whatever you want to call it, and now it's about to go green. It got into about 1920, didn't quite make it into that 1910, where actually the volume weighted average price is, but look, it's still red, it's still coming down. We'll see if this one can hold. It gave up that level at 1950, at 1960 that we talked about, so that level is done. I'm not going to base anything off that level anymore. Now it's going to be about the volume weighted average price being whether or not I look to Neil and Sean and ask them for shorts. Because what we have here is a gnarly looking double top. It's not the same price for each peak, but they're close enough. One is 21.50, the other one's 21.35. Now, if we can get a neckline break, I guess, through the volume weighted average price, this could be an interesting retracement all the way down. Again, I want to tell you that the short float on this one is a little bit higher. It is not a small cap gapper either. It's about $13.5 billion, give or take. With this latest move up, let me just find out exactly what the market cap is for this one. Yeah, $13.75 billion, and it is finding support at 19 and back up into 19.5. So if this one wants to start bull running up into 21 again, I'll get it on the back end, as my friend Neil likes to say. So we'll see exactly what this one does, but it's been in play all day, and I've been literally trading this one all day. So shout out to the Dan Katina man today for mentioning that you and him keep things on the hook, and I know that you both do, but I want to get in on that party too if I can.
Yeah.
So SMMT kind of was like that trade for me today. So shout out to both of you guys. Doing great with that, keep him on the ropes kind of strategy. I think that that's the way to go.
Thank you. I really appreciate that shout out there, Sharif. Thank you. I need to get better about that still, too. There are some stocks where I should be doing it better. Some stocks you leave too much on the hook, and the stock's like, hey, guys, like, you already beat me up. Like, give me a moment here. Let me breathe. I
feel you.
But that's why I stepped away from Palantir. I think it will have that breakdown, but I'm not interested in Palantir till it breaks below that, to me, at this point, more interesting support area of 34.25. If it does that, I will hop in the short aggressively until it does that, or if it doesn't do that, I'm just not getting involved. NVIDIA getting so close to my first peak water here. I would love to wet my beak here. There we go. Got our first peak water in NVDA. We're going to take out another piece of the position.
Get it, Adara.
105.65s. To be clear, I did like this short, even though NVIDIA obviously very strong on the day here, because we had these topping tail candles, and we had, in my opinion, a lower high from that 106.10 area. Some confluence, in my humble opinion. So that's why I like that trade. We're going to be taking this. We're going to be risking this into 106 now. I'll risk it flat. I don't want to add as of right now, because while the Qs are pushing a little bit lower here, NVIDIA still fairly strong here on the day, up almost 3%. I did, though, miss my Tesla short. You can't. We just got another beak winner in NVIDIA. You can't have them all, Sharif. But this Tesla short, a little bit upset to miss it. That being said, if we break below that 217.20s into VWAP, and it looks like we might, that could be an interesting trade. You risk it here into 50s. I might be okay with that. But it looks like we're not even have time to think, because we're just trying to push below that area violently. Let's see what we do on TSLA. But like I said, my focus remains here with N to the V to the D to the A. Tesla's trying to bounce off VWAP. I don't want any of that smoke till it settles out a little bit. Palantir getting close to my level, but no cigar. Also, oh boy, Amazon. You guys have to know what stock I'm talking about, more likely than not, if I say oh boy here. Oh boy. It's going to be AMZN. Look at... Whoa. I didn't want to trade any other tickers today. I said I was trying to trade less tickers. I've already traded like 5, but man, this Amazon at this 175.30s is just, that was a huge level of resistance. Then it became support. If we break below that, I think it'll be beautiful. Amazon, don't do this to me, man. I want to have to make this choice because I will trade you. I will short you. I don't. Ugh. Okay. You know what? I'm going to risk this into 40s. We're going to do this. We're going to risk it into 40s. We're going to try to get involved if it breaks below 20s. It just did that. I'm almost definitely not going to get filled. But you got to try here, Sharif. You got to go after what you like.
I like it.
Take that trade. Palantir, likely not going to get into my level. NVIDIA still chopping here. Man, I love these markets, Sharif. We're going to be, yes, we're risking 20 cents. We're going to be getting minimum that 174.80. I really like that level. So that's a 2-to-1 risk to reward. I'm cool with that. NVIDIA, I don't even know what tickers I'm in anymore. NVIDIA doing well. We're going to get some more out here at 41s. Yeah, I'm cool with, we'll get some more out here at 41s. Really happy with how this has been going here on these trades. The morning was a little bit rougher, but the biggest thing is minimizing losses. The biggest thing I'm realizing. Take trades you believe in, have losses as small as possible so you can go after those winners with aggression and passion. That's what's huge here. And also, if you guys have any passion about any tickers, you only have just under 20 minutes left to vote for the ticker of your choice. Let us know in that chat, ! join, space, $, whatever tickers you're fancy. We'll be looking at the 1 minute here for some of these levels. Yeah, if NVIDIA breaks decisively above 60s, I'll get out of this trade. I'm cool with that. Amazon's still shopping. NVIDIA's still shopping. What a market today, Sharif. Hopefully you guys have all had as much fun as we have. I'm in 2 Mag 7 shorts, and I feel mostly fine, honestly, all things considered. What are you looking at getting involved?
I'm looking at...
Still talking, guys, by the way.
Yes, that Bergeron woman is still talking right now, and she gave some prices for some of the AirPods. Now we're going to talk about the AirPods Pro coming up right now. Some of the things that I saw were 2 channels. You can have a better listening experience even when the audio is down, so you don't necessarily hurt your hearing. I know that thing pops up on my phone all the time, telling me that I've listened too much at an elevated decibel level, so I gotta put it down, which I like because I want to be able to hold on to my hearing. And so just some stuff like that, nothing to blow me out of the water. Now we're back with the doctor woman. I think she's the VP of health or whatever at Apple. So we'll see what she has to say with respect to the AirPod Pro. It's probably obviously going to be health related, probably hearing related here.
Yeah, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, that's important. And so we'll keep an eye on that as she talks up a storm. But what I'm looking at chart wise, I'm not going to trade Apple. I've made that clear during the event here. But what I do like is SMMT comes down into 19, and now we've got a bottoming tail candle, doji candle, followed by a solid candle here. So now what we need to see is this just a quick dip into VWAP and a bamboozling candle only to bring us down below 19. I don't want to give back anything on this trade. I know for certain that there's plenty of resistance right here where we are between 1970 and into that 20 buck area. There was a lot of consolidation, a lot of chip and chop right now or today on this level. So we'll see exactly what we get with this level. And if we break above it, I'll take it. If we break below it, then we'll look at a different trade. But I'm keeping my eye on SMMT and see exactly what we get there. Let's look at the overall market in general and see what's afoot. So I was talking to Dan, the dang man Emmons in the chat, and I was asking what his bias was with respect to the future. Now, look, we're right back below 18.7, but we're not that far. That's the thing. We're at the 20 exponential. I'm not going to, I don't want to make a prediction either way what we do, but we're below 18.7. Let's see if we hold up at this 18.675, not an area that I charted as any level of support, but we are holding up 2 candles at that level. Let's see if we work our way back up. Apple also dipped in aggressively off that closing print from Friday at that 220.80, 220 high 70s, coming back down into the 20 exponential moving average. We're at that 220 area, and it's been holding that level every single time that we basically took it since 11:15. So the better part now of over 2 hours and change. Let's see if we can get something here on Apple to the high side. I won't be trading it, but I want to shout out your Amazon short, Adara, because I see that is on the way down into 175. Great short there. I think a lot of people were pounding the table there in the chat for you. They like that as well. That big candle, that big red candle breaching the 10, breaching the 20, and no man's land here above 175. Good look there. Not much for me to talk about because I'm not in any trades at the moment, but I should let you know that Tesla is back at the volume weighted average price, with 2 candles that both breach VWAP, but looking to work its way back above that 217 area. So we'll see how the Cybertruck ends up acting. By the way, I went to Yorkdale on the weekend, Adara, and the Cybertruck was gone.
Really?
No more Cybertruck.
That is such a brief time for it to be there, Sharif.
I tried, Adara. Now that I know that they're opening up the cyber doors on the Cybertruck, I tried to weasel my way in, and it was gone. So I'm going to have to either find another mall or Shoreway Gardens maybe I got to go to. Yeah. But it's at Shoreway?
I was there.
You were there because my buddy took a picture with it as well, and he was inside of it, Katina Man.
So I just didn't want to wait in line.
The Katina Man didn't want to wait in line, but he said that it was basically open at that. Yeah, so shout out to him. We're going to have to weasel our way down to Shoreway, closer to you than it is for me to get there. But yeah, that's a look there. I still haven't sat in the Cybertruck. All right, keeping an eye still on the event. It's still the VP of Health. She's still talking about the AirPods Pro. She's talking about hearing studies. A staggering 75% of people are diagnosed with hearing loss. They haven't received assistive support. Need to go. What's
going to have a clinical quality hearing aid feature in the AirPods Pro. This is huge.
That's amazing.
That actually, honestly, like I don't know if I mentioned this in the show. I wear a hearing aid. I actually think this is really dope.
That's cool, man.
And honestly, like I've never been able to wear AirPods for that reason. So I actually find this really cool.
That's
I'm gonna have to look more into this. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I didn't mean to gasp there. But
no, that's important. Thank you for letting me know that.
She's still talking.
Yeah.
That to me, that's huge. I don't know if the market's gonna care, but I find that to be really, really fascinating, and I wanted to share that update there.
Yeah, thank you for that, Adara, because like we need to hear it from the people who actually need the product. How about that? Instead of me yapping about it when I have no idea what's needed and what's not. Keeping an eye here on SMMT, it is finding resistance at the area that we talked about. Look at this area over here, 1980. We're going to keep an eye on this one between $19.80 to $20. I'm looking possibly short as it did breach that level and has not been able to reclaim it. So all eyes and ears on this level. I should also let you know that Tesla is holding VWAP. So Tesla now on the way to $0.00 It held 217 double bottom on TSLA. TSLA is holding VWAP. And shout out to Dan, the dang man Emmons, because we are above 19.7 again. My man had a bias and he's sticking with it. We're going to shout out Dan the man Emmons.
We are going to shout him out. I got it on Amazon flat. I know, a little bit anticlimactic, but it's all good. I didn't want to give up any of the move there. If we break below 175, we'll get back in and we'll risk it into 175.20. You guys have seen me with these trades. I'm very comfortable risking into previous support resistance areas. I like those flips. Cool with that. Also, apparently they're anticipating FDA approval for their hearing aid feature. So I thought that was really cool there. Now they're back to Kate. Going to talk about some features there. Yeah, I thought that was really neat. This is honestly a really interesting update for the AirPods as well. So thank you for letting me wax some poetic about that. Really proud of this NVIDIA short. Got out of that short here. If we keep rejecting that 80s level, I might get back in. Basically, the theory for this was, like I said, prior bar highs. I had to get out of 105.60 on the 5-minute chart, the 1-minute chart. We broke above that prior bar high. I've probably missed the next short opportunity here, which for me would be 105.80s. Also, Tim is back. He's in a different location. They keep moving Tim. It's like instead of where's Waldo, it's like where's Tim? They're like planting him in different areas of the campus. He's in a blue shirt. Shout out to you, Tim. I want to see what NVIDIA does here at 105.80s. Yeah, that Amazon short didn't work out. Looks like it's trying to climb back though, so I'm happy it didn't hop right back in. And I said I'm still trying to work on my risk levels or moving my stops. That's, I think, a huge part of the trading that I'm still trying to figure out. So that didn't work out. Where's the next trade? Maybe NVIDIA. I do like that NVIDIA 105.80 breakdown. I like oh my gosh, I like Broadcom here, Sharif. Oh, okay. We have that nice push up here. Come back down. Come find some support at that previous, support resistance flip, beautiful. But then we wick into 139.80 and we cannot hang. We cannot hang, Sharif. I actually really like this short. If we break back below this level, that 139.30s, I'll risk it into 139.50s. I'm cool with that. Okay, let's go. Let's go, Broadcom. I have no idea if I'll be able to get filled here. I highly doubt I will, but I like this trade. I believe in this trade. Let's see if this happens. Broadcom, I was trading this one earlier as well, as you can see. So let's see if third time's the charm for this trade. I like it. We'll see if Broadcom likes me here. Not that it cares about my feelings. It's all good there. Qs, I'm watching out here for as well, because the Qs doing something potentially a little bit bullish. We have that move, nice sharp little, shell forming at 9. Oh, they're trying to show off the iPhone.
Yeah, now we're talking about the iPhone now, guys.
Now we're trying to make a bit of a higher low here. Let's see if AVGO will AVGO to the downside. I will be, like I said, risking 20 cents, looking for minimum, 40 cents here. So that definitely works for me. We're going to take out piece of the trade there. 138.91s. I like that look. I would like some of that smoke if Broadcom will have it.
You want me to take over, Adara?
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'm just filling out, putting my orders out here. Here we go. New phone. Calls print, says GZ. Yeah, honestly, Apple ranging really intensely right now. I know Sharif said he wasn't going to trade this event. I've said I'm not touching Apple till we break below 219.75 just for my personal levels of support that I like. Sharif took a successful long off that level earlier. Yeah. My intention is to shorten to that level should we get there. How are you doing over here with Summit?
I'm good. I'm honestly listening to the event right now because it's now we're introducing. Okay, so typically what we do is we introduce the iPhones, but we start with the less expensive one. We'll see exactly which one they're going to talk about. Are they going to talk about SE or what? This has a 2-camera bump, so this is not the Pro that we're talking about. We're talking about teal, pink, black, white. So make a new bold palette. So we've got 5 colors for the iPhone 16. This is not the Pro, so these could be different colors than the Pro. Industry-leading durability. Yeah, tell my iPhone 13 that. Just talk smack about the stock that I've invested in, but that's the way it is. 50% tougher than the first generation ceramic shield. Tougher than any other smartphone, 2 times tougher than any other smartphone glass, says this lovely woman in the pink suit. We'll keep tabs on that under all conditions, 2,000 nits. We know that they are going now to OLED from LCD for all of their phones, Pro, Max, or otherwise. They are moving, and that is kicking out LG, or Sharp, sorry, in favor of LG. So they're discontinuing their deal, their business relationship with certain providers, and now basically expanding their providers with LG. And so some of the people that provide them with OLED, I think Samsung also provides them with OLED. Funny enough, a competitor does provide them with the screens. So we're keeping an eye on that, guys. No question about it. Apple is now down below 220, so it is a sell the news kind of sitch here. Here's the look on AAPL. We are down to 219.80. This is a consolidation area that we were holding on APL. So watch out here, guys. If we break here, we could really flush. It's not VWAP, but we did hold up here earlier on from 11:30 all the way until we broke that around 12 o'clock. Couple of bottoming tail candles right now on the 1-minute chart at 29.80. This area, this is where I got long initially. The same area is coming back into play, but it's coming this time with much, much more volume, Adara. This 5-minute candle has over, let me just double check, I think it's over 2 million shares printed so far on this 5-minute candle, and I would be right. No, I'm not right. Why is it telling? No, about 1 million shares printed on this 5-minute candle right now. That's taking us into this 29.80 level. I ain't touching Apple, and there it goes down into 29.60s. So the bleeding is coming, guys. It is a sell the news type event. As we mentioned, here comes VWAP, 219.50. Does it hold up there, or do we flush even more? The Fuge got a bit of a flush as well. We just gave up 50 points just like that, 19.7 into down. Actually, more than 50 points. I think we got into 18.640, but popping up again. Yeah, I ain't trading this. This is just too wild for me. This is like trading the open, which I don't do. So let's keep an eye on these stocks. Apple down 0.5%, but holding at the volume-weighted average price. Very similar look, Adara, to at VWAP right now for Amazon and Apple. They're both at VWAP, and both are holding up. Obviously, a different look for both names, but very interesting as well. NVIDIA, kind of the same look. Also at VWAP, but it's below. It's trying to hold that 105 area. So lots of zig and zag on these here markets.
Yeah, so Apple here, I said I was waiting for 1975. That level broke way too violently for me to be able to get in, unfortunately. Took it on the retest. Going to be getting out. I'm risking here into 220. I'm taking out half the position at 219.50s. I have a feeling this is going to go against me. I did get, like I said, I'm okay taking a bit more size within reason if I'm following my risk management principles here. So we did have a little bit of fun with this trade. Let's see what occurs here. And by fun, I just mean like, you know, trying to size it appropriately using risk units. It's all good here. As we break above 220, we get out here. So got out right at 220 flat. Now we're trying to break back down below. That's cool. Happy I attempted this trade. What else happening? Palantir still above 34.25. Wow. Broadcom, I got out of that short as we got above 139. Took out half the position at 138.80. Took the other half out at 139. Cool with that. That continues to dip. That could be some other opportunities there. Happy I tried the Apple short. A little disappointed I didn't take it on the first break, because sometimes the retest is not going to give you that move, but I managed it appropriately. Took it during a bit of a volatile moment, so you got to do what you got to do. I will say, though, the real heartbreak for me was getting heartbreak. I'm joking, it's no feelings, but this Amazon short. I honestly, like I said, I probably was a little too conservative with the risk here. I moved my stop to break even. We broke even. I got out. Then it continues right to the level I wanted. It's all good. We come back to reject 175. I'll risk it back into that 175.20 level, and I'll start trying to get out here around VWAP. I think there's some levels being respected here on Amazon, and I would like to join those levels in that respect. Dan Emmons long the queue here. Great look over here. We have Vince Shane saying colorful charts nice. I don't know if this is, yeah, I have my book like kind of coded. So you've got lighter colors than darker colors in terms of the intensity of the orders there. I find it to be pretty helpful. Also, it's kind of pretty. It's like a sunset. So that's what I did there with my book. Sharif has his colored as well in the blue. So everybody does their own thing a little bit differently. That is for sure. We're all doing our thing, 21 on that. Let's see what Amazon does here around that 175. I want to see that chop and that churn. Okay, can't really hold 175. We're going to take, we're going to do this here. We're going to risk into 175.20s. We're going to see what happens here at 1. Okay, we got filled. Let's see what's happening. Q's, to me, still in a downtrend. Look at that. We did bounce off VWAP, to be fair. As right now, we're below that 454. 50-ish area, so let's see, or 30, I guess. Let's see if that continues. If it doesn't, I might get pushed out of Amazon. That's cool. We're basically flat on it right now. Like I said, I have no problem like moving my areas of interest around based on what the stop was, based on what the entry was. Let's figure out what is going on this Amazon, but also, what are you doing? 2 minutes left to vote, guys. Get those votes in. I can't believe the midday passes so quickly.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I think because we were so focused on this event and trying to cover it, obviously, while trading at the same time. I'm looking at Apple. What a hold up at the volume weighted average price here on the dead one Apple. It was exactly, let's not say exactly, but it did dip into 219 and a third. The volume weighted average price was on 40 on my chart. It really rocketed up off that 219 and a third. It moved $1. It moved $1 in 1 5-minute candle. It's zigging and zagging though. It's still above 220, but you know, I think I agree with Adira. Unless I see something above 18,730, I don't care if we're above 18,7 at the moment because it's still a lower high. We're still above VWAP. We're still above VWAP, but it's just your bias comes into play, and my bias is this is a sell news event. Down it goes again below 220, so we'll keep tabs on that. Let's back to our friend Summit and see what our friend Summit is up to. Yeah, it really couldn't break that 1980 area. So this, okay, guys, if Summit gives up 19, keep an eye out on this one. It could really get going to the downside. Now, I got to tell you that this one has a bigger short float on SMMT. So let me remind you what it is. SMMT, this one, 20.1% of the float is shorted here. It is finding some support in front of VWAP, but now we are kind of coming into the 20. Instead of using it as support like we did prior occasions, now we're using it as resistance. So if we get a newer low, this could absolutely take a bit of a downturn there. It was a good move up starting at 4 a.m., continued after in the early pre-market at 6 o'clock, and really continued after the bell, but it doesn't have to continue forever. So we'll look to see when it starts giving things back. APLD, shout out to Pretty Panda, was trading up a storm on APLD and quite successfully from what I gather. But now it's had a bit of an issue here. It not able to print new highs since around 120 and now coming back into that 610 area, but it's still putting in higher lows. So the higher low situation is still very much in play right now on APLD, guys, as we'll keep an eye on this one going into the afternoon. The Mag 7, look, I'm not trading any of these right now. It's just too volatile for me at the moment, so I'm going to stay clear of the Mag 7 names. Anything you guys want to look at, throw it in the chat. It's too late to vote now, though. But I did see quite a few votes came in today. I hope everybody prints up a storm and everybody's doing quite well. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. First day, obviously, of the NFL season. And, you know, obviously more to come. No Prem this week, sadly, as it was international play. Europeans are playing in the Nations League. Other teams are playing, I guess, friendlies or whatever other cups that they're doing. So there was no Prem, but there was plenty to cheer about in the NFL. The Catina men's team was playing out in Brazil, which was on Friday. Yeah, they played my arch nemesis, the Eagles, in Brazil. Obviously, the NFL trying to expand their moat there by coming to every place except Canada. Oh, they already have fans here.
I see.
So we're still talking about the phone right now, guys, on the Apple event. Keeping tabs on this one. I still think we're still in the. We're not talking about the Pro quite yet. Now they're talking about Apple Intelligence and how you can basically search your photos using text. That's not new. That's already been available on iOS 17 for a hot minute. Shout out to Tony Price. Thank you always, Tony, for the kind words there. Pretty Panda, BLMZ, small hit on this one. Playing with the VWAP volume spike got me. Get a little piece out of it. Now let's have a look at BLMZ. I think that's a holdover from Friday, I do believe, because I was trading that.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, Derek, because you know my memory short term is not that good. But yeah, good look there. I mean, the continuation play is still intact, but it's still very much an inside day on BLMZ. We're ensconced within the high of Friday and as well as the low. So definitely trading within the range. Below VWAP right now, but there does seem to be a whole lot of buying, Pretty Panda, at that $2 level, Adair.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, definitely shout out the Philadelphia Eagles flying, soaring over there to Brazil. The Green Bay Packers packing their bags. I just thought of that pun. I had to make it. Apologize for the pun.
That's actually pretty good.
Thank you. Both teams, I could do it, so I was like, why not? Amazon also has me saying, why not? I like this short. As we have Tesla and NVIDIA trying to push up a little bit here, AMZN a little bit weaker. I like this short. Like I said, risking it into 175.20. I'm looking to see what we do here at VWAP. I only trade during the midday, so we'll see what this trade does as the midday ends. The most I'll hold things out into the midday is like, you know, couple minutes to see what the momentum is, because sometimes you'll notice as the midday ends, things will change. You can get that opportunity. So that's certainly something I want to do. I've been trying to experiment with, like, you know, not getting rid of these trades right away, waiting a couple minutes. So we'll see what occurs there in AMZN. I like that we wicked, though, into that previous area of resistance at 175.16. I really like that. You know, I am not OB. I am not like as observant about Amazon, but I will say, oh boy, to the fact that this had that VWAP bounce, we're still kind of rejecting. Let's see what happens. I'm a little bit upset though that while I was in this Amazon, I didn't decide to add this NVIDIA long. I like that 105.40 area. That was a level that I was holding on to a piece for the dream for in my previous short. That being said, the reason I decided not to go this long, and I do stand by this, lower highs, lower lows. So see what happens there. Tesla looking very, wow, Tesla. Looking very similar, lower highs, lower lows, now rejecting the 9 EMA and that previous level of 217.50. That is fascinating to me on TSLA. That is not Amazon. I just typed AKZJ. So someone is living their best life over here, Sharif. That is not English.
No.
But it is all good there. Yeah, how long is the Prem on vacation for? The week, you said? Or?
Just until next week, Adair. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Apple's wow, big flush here on Apple. Come to my screen. Apple's flushing, guys. Big boy flush into 219, breaching VWAP over here. My main man there on the screen is talking about Apple Intelligence right now, so I think this is where it's going to get super volatile. He's talking about the features of Apple Intelligence on the iPhone, hence the volatility pickup. You know, he's talking about, you know, it's going to be able to see your on screen, what you're doing on screen, and able to make suggestions to you based on what you're doing and not just specifically about tasks that you put to it. You're also going to be able to type to Siri, which we already knew from the unveiling in, what's it called? No, June? Yeah, June. June, we had that developer conference. Down it goes again below 219, guys. Apple now down 0.82% on the day. The volatility picking up big right now on AAPL. This is why I didn't want to touch it. Who knows what it's going to do? Who knows how these algos are going to think? I have no idea. So I'm just going to stay away from it. Adara, 5 minutes left on the show. I'm going to weasel my way on up soon over here as we're going to have to basically get everything ready at the front for the afternoon rundown. I'm just trying to look to see if there's any other stocks I want to let you guys know about before I get up. And I do see one over here. It goes by the ticker SGMO. It is a small cap gapper. It is printing at highs right now. Sub $1, just printed 89 cents down to 87. Very strong name. Well, not very strong, up 21%. That's the only small cap gapper I really haven't had eyes on the day. Other than that, it's really about watching how we trade on Apple and on these Mag 7 into the afternoon. Adara, I'm going to send it to you. I hope you kill it on the remaining part of the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Sharif. You're killing it every single day. I want to shout out all those small cap trades because small cap's definitely not easy to trade, especially in front of everybody here. So shout out to Sharif for everything that he does. AAPL, I know, guys, I actually want to be able to take a trade for you live on Apple during this event. I am waiting to get filled here. Basically, I liked 219.75s. We knew that. But 219.50s were also interesting on this little pop and drop. So watch 219.50s. There was an opportunity to get short here. I was not able to get filled. Then it comes back again, and it doesn't even get there. It gets to 219.25. So you know what that tells me? I've talked a lot about how certain set levels are interesting. I want to get short 25s, risk it into 50s. At this point, we're not even getting to 25, so I don't know if this strategy is going to work. The volatility is also weaning a little bit here, so we'll have to wait and see what occurs. I don't want to chase too much, so I'm going to cancel that order, but that was the plan on AAPL. I have no qualms about trading these exciting names if they set up and give me opportunities. Amazon's doing very little here. We are, you know, It's fine. It's not going against us. It's just kind of dripping to the downside. Obviously disappointed about the timing of the first trade and ready to aggressively journal about how I can put my stops in less conservative and more effective ways. Interesting as well, too. So Tesla still trying to curl up here, but NVIDIA here decisively pushing below that 105.60s. I have a feeling if we break 105.40s again, that was a level I found a little bit interesting earlier. If you can kind of see this, I think this could be an interesting level. We broke a little bit below it there. Amazon, join your Mag 7 friends. Crack lower, Amazon. Yeah, sorry guys, my chart, I apologize, my Apple chart, I don't know what happened. It basically kind of closed on me. I was not able to fix it. I tried logging out, logging back in. I apologize for the look of that chart there. I can see if my other chart for Apple is working better. There we go. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so there you go. That's the whole Apple chart. I do apologize for that. We did have a little lower low, nice support at that 218 level. And honestly, if we break below 218, I think that would maybe be a more bearish look for Apple, given that look there. Amazon bouncing a little bit off that 174.80 level. Let's see what happens here. APLD on steroids, apparently. We talked a lot about that Applied Digital. We know NVIDIA and some other people are invested in a round on this one. So let's take a look at that. A to the P, to the L, to the D. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, this pretty good move here. Look at that slightly higher low here as we come into that 590 area, pushing up higher. Let's take a look at the daily chart because I always find the daily charts to be a bit interesting on stocks like this. A to the P, to the L, to the D here. Currently about 6. Oh, wow. Okay, this is an interesting chart. We definitely had some kind of movement in APLD before. I do like this interaction here at that $4 area. Double bottom, we push up higher, then we make a bit of a rounded bottom. We reject at that previous level of resistance support here around 490s, push lower, climb right back up. APLD, I would like to see if we get to that 680 level. But right now, we're gonna have to see you guys on the flip side tomorrow. We quickly got a super chat from Adam DeLuce, €2 super chat, or £2, I guess. Thank you, Apple Event. Thank you, Sharif and Adira. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone in this community. Thank you, Amazon, dropping into that 174.60. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. For now, though, we have Sean and Neil at the desk, and we got Sharif at the green screen. See you soon.